on digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The Two Mics on Talk Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the Two Mics on Talk Sport. It's been a very unhappy Christmas for Barb Bradley down in Swansea, and it's entirely possible he'll be out of a job before the end of this show. Meanwhile, Sam Allardyce returns to the Premier League, and all he wants to do is ban the bumblebee at Watford for diving. Today's big game is Liverpool-Stoke, and we'll be heading to Anfield to find out the team news with Graham Beecroft. And, of course, who are you? Ian Holloway's in action as well. He's already 1-0 down at Brighton. He's only won one game, he's lost every other one. Maybe he's not going to be long for this world either. Also coming up on the show is the festive edition of Postman Pork, and Mr. Parry has got a massive mailbag to open. 08717 22 3344. You're listening to the Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport.
Who are you?
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. We're in for Hawksby and Jacobs all week. We're going to have some fun. We may have some historical decisions being made in the football business. And it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry. Very afternoon, I should say.
I was about to pick you up on that one. Yeah. Clearly, you're a few hours behind the what's the expression in American football? The long ball.
Just the road game.
The road game. Okay.
What are you doing sitting over there?
Sorry?
What are you doing sitting over there?
Actually, I'm trying to work that out because I can't...
What do you mean you're trying to work it out?
Sorry.
Why are you sitting all the way over there to my left? The studio is a horseshoe shape. Porky always sits on my right.
I don't know.
Right next to me. Today, for some reason, you're sitting very far away from me on the left.
To be honest,
what's going on?
I haven't worked that one out yet. I was here because we were talking to young Jim.
Jim White.
Just before.
Yes.
Jim has made a prediction
top
that...
man. He says
absolutely top man.
Yeah.
He says Bobcat Bob will still be around at 4 o'clock today.
He does. I'm not sure that's going to be true.
Well, I'm not sure. Now we've, we have focused on Bobcat Bob's efforts, and I wonder anybody, take the mickey out of Bobcat Bob in any sort of a way. Somebody sent in a tweet today saying, don't worry, Bobcat Bob's got it worked out. He'll fix it with the draft in January.
He's going to fight like crazy,
He's going to fight like crazy. And that, of course, refers to the way that the American college system works, doesn't it? The football and all that kind of stuff.
the NFL system, yeah.
The NFL, exactly.
Well, there's also a tweet that I've got here from Dave. It says, I know Porky's dying for news of Bobcat Bob's sacking to Greg
I am not.
whilst you guys are live on the air.
That is an absolute
I think he's right about that.
calumny. I would never, ever focus on a man's position and say, I want that man out of work.
You've been against it from the start.
No, all I said from the start was I did not think it would work. Yeah. I did not think he had the communication skills.
I, for one, will put my cards on the table. I hope that he does not lose his job because he's by far and away the most entertaining manager in the Premier League.
Well, also, a bit later in the show, we have got a lexicon, haven't we, of American and English words, which we are going to compare with each other, the way Bobcat Bob uses them and what they mean in this country. But let's maybe take the focus a little bit off Bobcat Bob to another manager. That's Ian Holloway. Who are you? Which was, of course, his railment at the FA when Sam Allardyce went.
Yeah.
Who are you to give a man?
No, it was when Gareth Southgate was awaiting the appointment of his new job.
Absolutely.
And he kept saying, why don't you give him the job? Give him the job!
Yeah, but who are you? Who are you? And that was when Graham Lasso, of course, was telling us about there's a procedure you have to go through. Of course, they appointed Gareth Southgate at the end, but for some unknown reason.
There wasn't any other candidate.
No, and they had to go through the procedure. But I'm just going to read this to you, right?
Yeah, go on.
Ian Holloway got off to a great start when he took over on Saturday, the 19th of November. Queen's Park Rangers 2, Norwich City 1.
Yes.
Since then,
great result.
Since then, I'm afraid QPR have played Ipswich, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Rotherham, Derby County, Villa. Today they are playing Brighton. Yeah. They have not won a game since. They've not got a point since. They've not got a draw.
They're already 1-0 down, and they're actually edging quite close to relegation down at the bottom of the championship.
I mean, they're in trouble. And the point is, when you bring in a guy like, who are you? It's supposed to be a miracle cure. And everybody says that Sam Allardyce is going to be a miracle cure. By the way, I'm on Sam's side about that blinking...
What, you mean about the bumblebee?
Yeah, I certainly am. You don't go around mocking managers of the opposition team by trying to make out that...
He wasn't mocking him.
He was.
No, he was mocking Zaha for diving.
I know he's mocking Zaha for diving. Who does Zaha play for?
He plays for Crystal Palace.
And who's manager of Crystal Palace?
Sam Allardyce.
Thank you very much indeed.
Well, he wasn't diving, though, Sam Allardyce. It was Zaha that was diving.
I know, but he was saying your players are divers, and Sam took exceptions to that, and I don't blame him.
No, I don't think he was wrong to do it because it's a bit of a laugh. I mean, the mascots get up to all kinds of stuff. Well, the mascot is somebody who's there to take the mickey out of the opposition, right?
You've got to show me respect!
He's the home mascot. He's at Watford. He's actually a hornet, technically, but he looks a bit like a bumblebee. And for him to dive in front of Sam Allardyce, I thought it was very funny. Sam Allardyce needs to get a sense of humour.
I think what will be quite funny is if Sam presses it and demands the FA do something about it, and then there's a hearing at the FA headquarters at
and
Wembley.
Bumblebee has to show up.
Bumblebee shows up, but Sam has to show up, and somebody says, Mr. Allardyce, do you know your way around the building?
Yeah.
No, not really. I wasn't here long enough. I mean,
he only found the emergency exit.
Well, that's a very harsh thing to say. But how was your Christmas at home?
My Christmas was very good, actually, and very, very good indeed.
Really? What's so good about it, then?
Well, we had fantastic food. We had the 25-year-old beef, which, of course, 25 days age rather than years.
Can I tell you, I had beef yesterday, fillet beef, yes, at my sister's place.
Oh, you had beef as well?
Yeah, I would call the family seat Boxing Day.
Where did they get theirs from?
Well, I don't know where they got it from. They got it from a local butcher, somewhere in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey. But it was the most melt-in-your-mouth, wonderful beef I've ever tasted in my life.
Mine was a Côte de Boeuf, actually.
Was it? Yeah. I remember it was described as fillet, but it was absolutely...
So it had a bone in it as well, so you could actually have it was like a chop almost. Like
I see.
Chop.
Yeah, very nice, yeah.
Absolutely tremendous. A fantastic selection of wine.
Yes.
We also had a bottle of very expensive champagne,
yes,
which was brought down by my daughter and her fiancé.
We got one in the hamper, didn't we?
That was a bottle of wine.
No, there wasn't a bottle of champagne.
You got champagne from elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
You got the champagne from the guy at Champions.
Well, that's all connected to Betso.
Yeah, but I didn't get one of those.
Oh, no, that's right. I've kept that for myself.
They
You're
absolutely
right.
To you.
You're absolutely right,
They forget that it's the two mics.
No, I don't
I'm
think
finding
they
it
do.
very odd talking to you like this, by the way.
No.
Are you going to move? I can't talk to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to move. I was only here because we talked to Jim, and then actually you went out.
I can't talk to you sitting in this position.
No,
do you
I
mind
know.
moving?
You've got peripheral vision.
Do you mind moving?
Soon as there's an opportunity.
Can you not move now?
No, soon as there's an opportunity.
I can't talk to you. Well, I'm going to have to talk to you looking there and pretending you're
all right,
there.
well, that's okay. What I was going to say was, my little nephew, Tom...
What, you mean that giant that was in the picture?
Absolutely.
You put out a picture on Twitter. In fact, I'm going to retweet it of you and this guy who looks about twice your height.
He is about twice my height.
I'm sure he's related to you.
He is my nephew, Tom.
How old is he?
I've known him since he was a baby.
Who are you?
Hey?
Who are you?
Who are you? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And he suddenly grew into a giant, about 6'5".
Really?
And for Christmas, he adopted the Andy Carroll man bun.
Oh, yeah.
Which means you put your hair back and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's
got a beard similar to yours.
He's got a beard similar to mine. He looked very striking, and people made many comments on the picture, one of which they said he looked just like Jesus Christ.
He does look like a giant in your picture, though.
Yeah,
so maybe just because you're so small, I don't know.
That's very harsh.
And you were wearing a horrendous shirt, by the way.
What do you mean?
That shirt you were wearing, it was like black with sort of yellow and red stripes.
No. That was a patterned pink shirt. You know, the one that I got for you. You know,
you didn't get me a pink shirt.
We're not going through that again.
Shirt.
Not going through that again.
We're going to be hearing about that some more. Your despicable Christmas gift to me, which was appalling, right?
Not at all.
A second-hand shirt stuffed into a plastic bag.
We are not going through that again.
We're going to have another listen to that.
What about Everton's 3 points at Leicester?
What about it?
Well, wasn't it brilliant?
Well, Leicester aren't very good, are they?
Well, you say that. They're the champions of England.
I bet you any money that Everton will do exactly what they do whenever they do win 3 points. They'll go back to sort of normality at the weekend and play against Hull and get a 0-0 draw.
We've got Hull on Friday night. It's a live game, so I'm rather looking forward to that because I won't be able to get to Hull because you and I are doing show Saturday.
Well, live on Talk Sport.
The warm-up, eh?
Is it live on Talk Sport?
You shouldn't ask me questions like that.
Well, you said it's a live game.
It's a live game.
Well, were you promoting some other agency?
No,
When you say a live game, what do you mean?
What I mean is it's available to be perceived and perused at...
televisionally.
As of the moment. Did I mention television? I don't talk about television, mate. We're a radio station.
I'm starting to get a crick in my neck now.
But what I'm saying is that if you go to Leicester and you get 3 points and your next game is away at Hull, then with the greatest of respect, you should cash in on those 3 points because let's face it, Hull against Manchester City, Hull are hopeless.
Yes, they're not very good.
I mean, Mike Phelan was probably a very good coach, at Manchester United and all that, but as an independent manager, as the boss, as the guy who's got a lead team, he simply doesn't have the smack of authority.
But also, all is not
well.
Well,
he doesn't have the smack of authority.
No, but also, it's hard to be a manager in a place where nobody really knows whether the owners want the club or not, and nobody really knows whether they're going to sell it. Nobody knows whether somebody else is bidding for it.
Yes,
it's all a bit unfortunate.
Yes, could all be unfortunate, but the point is that you've got to, in those unfortunate circumstances, and plenty of managers who worked in unfortunate circumstances. I think even Davy Moyes is working in one now. You've got to actually look like the boss, not like an apologist for players who are playing for you but not for you, if you see what I mean.
Yes, indeed. Now, we've got
Players
lots
who
of
should
things to
play
be
for
getting
you.
on with coming up in the show. We're going to be talking to Stephen Carroll down in Swansea, who's a blogger on Wales Online, to find out what the latest is with Barb,
Indeed.
whether he is going to make the end of the show. Also, we're going to be talking to an axe thrower as well,
Yeah.
which is going to be very interesting. Porky's going to be moving to his normal place because he's upsetting the apple cart here by sitting in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's Postman Pork coming up a little bit later on.
Postman Pork, Postman Pork.
Festive edition only. This is Talk Sport. Now, another man who's under an awful lot of pressure is Bob Bradley down in Swansea. He's let in something like an average of 3 goals per game since he's been in charge. Let's go down now to Stephen Carroll, who's a blogger for Wales Online, find out what the temperature is down there. Stephen, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, I mean, there are some people who are rather mischievously perhaps suggesting that Bob Bradley may be out of a job by the end of this show, which is 4 o'clock. How quickly do you think a decision is going to be made at Swansea?
It's difficult to tell these days, to be honest with you. I don't think the board at Swansea really know what they're doing anymore. He should never be given the job in the first place. He's completely out of his depth, and obviously, like I say, we're conceding goals for fun. He's had 11 games in charge. We've conceded 3 or more in 8 of those games. I mean, if you are going to go down, so it's as simple as that. He needs to go. But to be honest, I don't really trust them to appoint anybody who's going to be good enough to replace him. So very disillusioned, really, at the moment.
Well, Steve, this sounds desperate. Can you just give the Swansea fans some kind of assurance there is a break somewhere on this dreadful decline of Swansea Football Club? Because, you know, if Bob's not up to it and the board have appointed him and they can't see what they should be doing about it, and you say that they're not fit to run a football club, it looks like the whole situation's completely out of control.
It's just a disaster zone, really, at the moment. I mean, I was going down there yesterday thinking, well, here we go today, who's going to wind me up? How bad is it going to get? And it was worse than I thought it was going to be. So I just don't see any light at the end of the tunnel, really. The only thing you can say, I suppose, is we're not that far off safety in terms of points, but I think that more says a lot about the fact that a lot of other teams are poor. I mean, Middlesbrough beat us 3-0. Their manager says it's the worst they played all season.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it?
Than that.
Well, when you also look downwards at the bottom end of that table, the question you always have to ask is how many teams are worse than Swansea? And you can't think of very many, really, can you?
I think Hull might be. But
yeah, I think Hull might be. I hope they are, because Everton are playing them on Friday night. But no,
very harsh.
You could well be right. What is look, Bobcat Bob is turning out to be not such a good manager, but he's actually a very personable man. Is there some mixed emotions about his presence in Swansea amongst the fans? That, look, he's a nice guy trying his best, but as you quite rightly said a few seconds ago, he's completely out of his depth.
Yeah, from my point of view, I think he's a good bloke. He's trying his best. I mean, you get offered the job, you don't turn it down, you. You would never got another offer like that. But I think the fans are just very disillusioned in general with everything that's going on in the club. They all want him out because they can see, like you say, that he's out of his depth. And it's just like that, really. I mean, everyone just wants massive changes. And
if you cast your mind back, Stephen, to his appointment, what was the thinking behind getting this guy
he's
in?
American, isn't he?
I mean, obviously he's American, and he's had some experience of international management. He's had some pretty successful management in MLS in America. But I mean, what was their reasoning for thinking that he was going to do a job in the Premier League?
I have no idea.
The Premier League, as he likes to call it.
I would never have given it to him. I don't think the old regime would have given it to him either. We've never been linked to him in the past. We've always gone for managers that play in the Swansea way, should we say, and he's not somebody that fits that criteria, so we wouldn't have had it. I personally think Hugh Jenkins wanted to appoint Ryan Giggs, and I think he was overruled, to be honest with you. So, yeah, like you say, I think maybe his nationality did have something to do with it, I don't know, but either way, he's completely out of his depth. Yeah,
I mean, it is a bit of a shock, because over the last 20 years maybe, Swansea have had a fantastic track record of appointing managers who've gone on to bigger clubs. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory fashion to Swansea at all, but what I'm saying is you've made very good choices. But Bob will not be going onto a bigger Premier League club.
No, like you say, I mean, we seem to have had a great formula, really, for appointed managers. There's been very few even average appointments. Most of them have taken the club on in some way, shape or form. And obviously, it's gone backwards now, and they need to maybe look at what characteristics they went for in previous managers and try to see who's out there that's available. But to be honest with you, if you're a reasonable manager now, why would you take the Swansea job? Because obviously behind the scenes it's terrible. There doesn't seem to be a great deal of money available for players. And if there is, the chairman is controlling transfers. Yeah. And obviously we're in the bottom three. Why would you want the job? I mean, anyone half decent wouldn't want it. I mean, Ryan Giggs probably thinks he dodged the bullet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to say, do you think Ryan Giggs is still in the frame? Because he may not. He may think he dodged the bullet, but he may still want to get his feet under the table, as it were, managerially. It might not be a bad place to start.
I don't think Ryan Giggs is going to be the next Swansea manager. I'd be very surprised. From my point of view, I think a realistic one could be Gary Rowett, because I think we're probably going to be relegated. Yeah. And he's done well in the past without a great deal of money. Maybe he's inexperienced at the top level, but I mean, if you want a long-term job and a rebuild, he could be the man.
That'd be a terrible admission, wouldn't it, though, that you appoint a manager who's been successful in a championship league, which is where you think you're going?
Yeah, it is, but unfortunately, I think that is where we're at. Yeah. Because I just don't see us turning it around, and sometimes you have to think, right, well, let's take more of a long-term view, because, like I say, I mean, I personally would have taken Albice. I think that would have given us a chance.
Well, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right. But when Sam looked at it, Sam looked at Crystal Palace and thought, right, they haven't yet reached the precipice. You know, they're heading towards the precipice, but they haven't reached it. Unfortunately, Swansea have reached the precipice. I don't think any manager can bring them back now.
No, I think you're right. Like I say, I mean, if you're Aldice, you look at that Crystal Palace side and you think, like, they're underachieving. Yes. Are Swansea underachieving? Probably not. Yeah. Or maybe they are by one or two places. But,
sure.
You know, no one's probably looking at it and thinking, it'll be easy to pull them out, because it really won't be. It'll take a hell of a lot of work. Sure. And it will take several £1 million in the transfer window, which I don't think is there.
That's right. Has Bob done a lot to integrate himself with the locals? I mean, he's about as far away from being Welsh as
you are. No, because you are Welsh, aren't you?
You know, as a man living on Ayers Rock in Australia, if you see what I mean.
Ayers Rock. You've seen the floods there,
Yeah, I know. Uluru. Yeah, and
Uluru.
Yeah, and what I was going to say was that did he? You know, has he been out in the streets of Swansea? Has he been garlanding himself in daffodils and singing Welsh sort of ballads and all that kind of stuff to integrate him?
Why would he do that?
Well, to make himself, you know, part of the
Make
of
it sound
the culture.
like some curious little place.
No. I mean, you know, people do this, don't they? You know, I mean, old Brendan Rodgers, every club he goes to, he becomes like a natural member of that society.
Is there a question in here? Anyway?
Him telling you, yeah, I've asked.
Sorry about this thing.
Has Bobcat Bob done a lot to integrate himself with the locals?
One thing he did was go to the Disabled Supporters Association meeting. So to be fair, that was quite a nice touch.
Yes.
That's
He's a great guy.
Outside of his remit, he did say he would do a fans forum where he'd take questions and answers from the fans. But that hasn't been organised as yet, and well, probably now he's going to be out of a job before that.
Yeah, we better get that organised pretty damn quick, I'd say.
Well, if you listen to the booze yesterday, I think it's going to be a very unpleasant meeting, that
it's
one.
It's not going to be happy, is it?
He said he would do it, though, in October, and he's only been in a couple of weeks then. But what we really wanted is the chairman and the board to take those questions, and understandably that they won't do it anymore, because obviously they know that... They haven't got a leg to stand on in terms of they put their own personal gain ahead of the clubs, and that is the main reason why Swansea are struggling.
Struggling indeed. Stephen, thank you very much indeed. Stephen Carroll, blogger for Wales Online down there in Swansea. Not a happy bunny, obviously. I've got a story about a bunny actually to tell you coming up in a little while. But Bobcat Bob, will he still be in a job after 4 o'clock this afternoon, or will he lose it before this show is over? This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport has so much sport, we're running out of radio to play it.
In fact, we've got enough rugby, cricket, horse racing, boxing, motor racing and golf for an entire other radio station.
The prodigal son of all radio stations is on the air. Talk Sport 2, because sport never stops.
There ain't no stopping it now!
If you can pitch it, bowl it, hurl it, putt it, catch it or convert it,
you'll find it on Talk Sport 2. Thank you very much.
It's so new, you'll need to retune your DAB radio to receive it. Find out how at talksport.com/retune.
Can they make it too?
Talk Sport 2, The Prodigal Son, is on the air. Online and on DAB, because sport never stops.
Face down in the sea.
You never got up again,
Here's one from Dale, who says, is Porky on drink or drugs regarding Bobcat Bob trying to make friends in the streets of Swansea?
Well, I would if I was the manager in a new sort of cultural
environment. What are you going to do? Just dress yourself up like a daffodil like they do for the rugby games?
No, obviously not. But, I mean, you'd go out and you'd talk to people and, you know, immerse yourself in the local cultures and all that kind of stuff. Maybe...
What is the local culture of Swansea?
Welsh. So you'd learn a few words of Welsh.
Well, I don't mean Welsh. I mean, what is the culture? What do they do in Swansea? You don't know, do you?
That's what they do. You know, they...
John Hartson famously ran down the street kicking the old flower baskets, didn't he?
Yes, that's right, in
Swansea.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that goes on a Friday night in Swansea.
Yeah, I remember a story.
Lovely place, though.
He went out with his dad one night in Swansea and they both got into a punch-up somewhere, you know, because that was John in those days.
My kids have come up to London for the day, right? And they had to get off at... they left the car somewhere and they get on a train somewhere in South London. Standing on a platform, suddenly a punch-up starts between the ticket man and another guy who didn't have a ticket.
Really?
And the police are called. You know, they thought it was terribly exciting.
That is disgraceful.
Isn't that terrible?
If public servants
Shocking.
can't... You know, I often think when I'm on a train, somebody says, tickets, please. You know, I of course, I've always got a ticket.
Yeah, but you haven't always got the right ticket, have you?
Yeah, I am.
No, because quite often you're sitting in first class with a second-class ticket.
Law-abiding member of the public. But I often think, you know, that it must be a horrible job when you get some half-bake who thinks that he's, you know, got a law unto himself and hasn't got the right ticket. Now then, over the Christmas period, a lot of people would have received a Two Mikes DVD live in Edinburgh.
Yes.
And Andy here tweets and says, my son Zach has asked me to ask you, can you tell him, well done for getting me the Two Mikes DVD, please?
It's very convoluted.
They're very convoluted. I think it's a thanks for the Two Mikes DVD.
Zach.
So, OK, well done.
Now, have you had a look at the Wall Street Journal lately?
Yeah, it's
one
brilliant.
Of those papers
I love
that
it.
You would have been reading an awful lot of when you were in America, but not so much perhaps now.
Yep.
But they've actually done a study of the number of things that Bob has said over time, because they say it's probably unfair to say that he's been saying lots of Americanisms when in fact he hasn't.
Yeah.
And it's quite a remarkable sort of comparison that they've made.
Yes.
But I don't think they've covered all of it, because Joshua Robinson, who's the reporter that did it, has basically spent something like 4 hours watching press conferences with Bobcat Bob.
That's right.
And where he has concluded that instead of saying an away match, he's only said a road game one more time than saying away.
Yeah.
He says instead of saying clean sheet, he has never said shutout. He says he's never said locker room instead of dressing room.
That's
he's
right.
never said soccer instead of football.
That's right.
He's never said goalie instead of keeper. And he's only once said PK instead of penalty. Well, that's not true.
No.
Because I've seen him saying PK
That's right.
at least 4 times.
Absolutely.
And also, he has said game 93 times instead of match 35 times.
I know, it's the road game that I really like, because, it's a road game.
Yeah, and hit the road.
Yeah, hit the road, Jack. And I suppose they call it that because when an American team travels, they sometimes travel 3,000 miles, don't they?
Well, so it's actually not a road game at all, it's more of an air game.
Exactly, it's a complete air game. In fact, it's a continent game, isn't it? 'Cause it's on the other side of the continent.
Yes.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the thing is, he speaks a different language to us, and the difference in the language between him and us is what we've always known. There's a dictionary of English words and a dictionary of American words, and that you can easily be misunderstood when you're trying to mix the two together.
But we've actually said before, it's not so much about the fact that he's American and he's not English, because I mean we have more foreign managers in the Premier League probably than any other league in the world.
Of course
in terms
we do,
of, you know, homegrown and foreign managers.
Yeah, of course we do.
But many of the foreign managers who come from Spain or Germany or France or whatever European country they come from, or even South America, they speak the language of football.
Yeah.
Bobcat Bob gives the impression he doesn't speak the language of football.
I totally agree. He sort of speaks the language of baseball or American football.
Yeah,
NFL
because American
like
is not.
I agree.
American doesn't have any terms for football because it's not a footballing nation intrinsically. Do you know
That's
what I mean?
right. I mean, there's a lot of mischief going on here. I got a Twitter this morning before the show and saying, "Don't worry, Bob will get it right when he gets the draft in January," which of course is the NFL thing where you can, you pick the best players if you're the worst team and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely right.
That won't be happening in soccer.
No, it won't be. We're back underway down at Brighton, of course. It's 1-0 to Brighton against QPR. Who are you, Ian Holloway? Looks like you might be losing his 6th game in a row. There's a free kick underway at the moment as well.
I can't understand how nobody else is debating Mr. Holloway's future.
Yes.
To lose 6 games in a row is an appalling
if he loses
record.
this one,
Appalling.
Well,
he's going to lose, isn't he? He's playing away at Brighton. Brighton are one of the major contenders for the title of championship winners, and almost almost certain at this stage of the season to be one of the favourites to go up.
Yes, absolutely.
So I would say that he's got no chance of winning this one today. In fact, I think he's going to lose by another couple of goals.
Well, don't stick the porky jinx on it, whatever you do.
No,
because anything can happen in a game of football, as you know.
Yeah, but the last 3 home games, He's lost 2-1 to Wolverhampton Wanderers, 1-0 to Derby County, 1-0 to Aston Villa. I know Aston Villa are revived. They've gone halfway up the table now under Steve Bruce. But nevertheless, it's an appalling record. I'm sorry, it just is.
No, absolutely right. Now, I've got to tell you a story about a bunny, which occurred yesterday. Because, in my garden, there's quite often a few bits of wildlife that you see. There's some lovely birds. We've got woodpeckers. Right. We've got thrushes. We've got blackbirds, robins. Anyway, quite a lot of rabbits sometimes.
Sort of like a nature reserve.
It is a bit like a nature reserve. Well, you've seen it, albeit in the dark and the wet.
Yes.
But there was a couple of bunnies wandering about yesterday in the garden.
A couple of rabbits, yeah.
And the dog likes to chase them, right? But the dog never catches them because they're too quick.
Because, the dog could do damage to a little bunny rabbit.
Well, exactly right.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, yesterday, as I was in the midst of putting up a table tennis table, which the kids had got from Santa for...
table tennis table?
A full-size table tennis table, yeah.
Really? Full-size?
Yeah, goes outside and everything.
Surely your lads are not tall enough to be able to play are they?
Yeah, actually, they're both quite good. Right. Because we had them in Spain.
Okay.
When we were in Mallorca,
I remember that.
And they really got into it. So they asked for one from Santa, and they got it.
Yes.
Very complicated thing to put together. But anyway,
no,
suddenly...
it's not. It just folds open. That's all it does.
You have no idea.
I've investigated buying one for the family seat.
Right.
And,
have you any idea how many things you have to screw in, how many bits and pieces?
A guy delivers it on the back of a lorry, and all you do is you unfold it as though it was
incorrect.
An ironing board.
No,
or
that's
something.
not true.
Yeah, it is.
No, it comes flat packed, so you have to put it together.
Not the one I got. It must have been a cheap one that you've got.
No, not cheap at all. Actually,
no.
It came from Santa.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, Santa's...
Nobody knows how much it costs.
Might have short-circuited you there, but
anyway,
anyway, go on.
Blow the gaff on that one, really. Anyway, here's the thing. Suddenly you saw this rabbit running, and suddenly the dog was getting closer and closer to it. And then it ran into the woods in the garden, and it came out the other side. But it was obviously injured in some way.
Right.
Because normally speaking, they can get away.
Yeah.
And it was running only about a foot ahead of the dog. And the dog had obviously somehow managed to injure it in some way.
Oh, dear.
So we had to grab the dog, who luckily didn't have the killer instinct. Otherwise, I think he would have just gone for it.
Yeah.
And the rabbit was terrified. It was trying to jump up the wall.
Of course it was.
It was jumping over little... Well, we saved it because, we then got the dog inside.
Right.
But the rabbit, we didn't know what to do with the rabbit because it turned out it was bleeding from its head.
Oh, this is terrible.
Why?
Well, you've allowed your dog to massacre a rabbit. It's horrible.
The rabbit was still alive.
Can you imagine how frightened that was? Imagine if you were just walking down a pavement.
I was thinking the most humane thing to have done maybe would be to club it, with some piece of wood and just put it out of its misery.
Oh, my God.
What do you think?
Just imagine if you were walking the street and some animal about 5 or 6 times your size came and started chasing you.
Well, like your nephew.
And I'm not going to respond to that. And suddenly bit your head.
Yeah, now, what happens in the wild, right, is that rabbits get attacked by foxes all the time.
Your dog is not a wild dog.
No, he's not.
Your
but
dog's a domestic pet.
That's why he didn't do it. But the instinct
and rabbits should be safe from such predators.
The instinct of a gun dog, right, is to go after wild animals.
By the way, did you know? Newcastle lost again at home yesterday, right? Have you seen how many games they've lost at home?
Yeah, quite a few.
4 this season already.
Yeah, what do you put that down to?
Games.
What do you put that down to?
I don't know, but it's quite remarkable that a team who's got a points advantage at the top of the Championship have lost 4 games at home this side of Christmas.
You must be very happy about that because you're not a big fan of Rafa Benitez.
I'm not a fan or otherwise of Rafa. I think Rafa has obviously got a very distinguished record.
You hold a grudge against Rafa Benitez.
I don't hold a grudge against him at all. Not at all.
You do, ever since he called Everton a small team.
Not at all. Not at all, believe me. Well, that's bad news then for Who Are You?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I just can't see how he can survive.
No.
I really can't.
I can't. Moose was saying, they're not going to fire him right away. Well, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
He's won 1 game, he's lost 6. Well, looks of it now.
Yeah.
That just seems ridiculous, right? Absolutely utterly ridiculous.
I think I would...
Anyway, do you not want to hear the end of the rabbit story?
Yeah, I do want to hear the end of the rabbit story, please. I definitely do.
In the end, we had to sort of gently nudge the rabbit up towards the front gate so that he could get outside of where the fence is so that we could let the dog back out.
What about treating its wounds?
Well, you can't. How can you treat a rabbit's wounds?
Because you can take it to a vet. Because your dog has
Boxing Day.
Show
me a vet that's open on Boxing Day.
Well, you should have taken it and locked it in a secure unit.
Locked it.
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
Bathed its wounds and tried to give it some succour and comfort.
Difficult, that.
The poor little animal would be terrified out of its mind.
Yeah, of course he was.
Yeah.
But, that's unfortunately the rule of, the survival of the fittest
I don't believe it is.
In the outdoor world.
I don't believe it is.
If you're a rabbit, you are constantly at threat of a fox eating you.
I don't think that's the case at all. I think rabbits deserve the protection of the nature or the natural world in which they live.
Yeah. Well, the last time there was an injured rabbit in the garden, right, there was a move to take him to the vet, which was done. Right. And the vet then put it down.
Well, that's less cruel than having a disabled rabbit running around.
Well, I don't think it was disabled.
Dying slowly and bleeding to death.
Well, I mean,
on your garden grass.
It wasn't on my land by that time.
So, well, this is not good enough anyway. You should just learn to discipline your blinking dog.
Really?
Because I don't like to hear these stories of the massacre of wild animals. It's shocking.
Yeah. Did you electrocute any cats over the
No. I haven't seen the cat for quite a long time.
No.
We had an incident-free Christmas full of family merriment and goodwill and a lot of present exchanging and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about some of the presents that you got as well coming up. Did you get that shirt as a present?
No.
Good, I'd have given it back.
Well, you already have given one shirt back.
Well, I gave you your second-hand shirt back.
You already have given one shirt back. You are the most, honestly,
the time, by the way.
ungrateful, disingenuous recipient of a present I think I've ever come
maybe
across.
I'll give you a pair of used socks. How would you like that?
Well, don't be ridiculous.
It's the same thing.
Don't be utterly
same
ridiculous,
thing.
honestly.
This is Talk Sport. Paul says this, Porky wants nothing to do with animal massacre.
Yeah.
I assume he's got rid of the old bat flamethrower then.
No, that was just an example of how you shouldn't let the property values of the property you own recede to nothingness if you can get rid of the weirdo animals that are housed there. Who cares about bats? Does anybody really care about a bat dying?
What are you going on a rant about bats
Well,
for?
because you just mentioned it, and I just think that bats
they're part of the ecosystem.
I think they're the most repulsive creatures. They hang upside down, they're black, they suck blood out of people.
They're not. They don't suck blood out of people.
And they have absolutely no value whatsoever to the ecosystem of this country.
Absolute rubbish.
I wouldn't have a problem if somebody said to me, we're going to wipe out bats. I really wouldn't, honestly.
Well, we're not. But I'll tell you what we are going to do. We're going to talk to Jules Whitehorn, who's from the Whistle Punks Urban Axe Company, because this is a man who for a living, and perhaps in his spare time as well, chucks axes at things in order to entertain people. Jules, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thanks very much for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Now, you've got this business based back here in England. You're over in Australia at the moment, right? You're there for the Christmas holidays.
Yeah, that's right. Got my mum's side of the family over here, so got to do the family trip. It's a hard life.
All right. Well, tell us about this axe business that you've got, because for the first time, Porky's interested in taking part in it, because apparently now you can have a drink while doing it.
Well, at the moment we don't serve drinks while you're doing it, but that might well be in the pipeline. It's a lot of fun. I think you'll have a great time. You're competitive lads, I reckon.
Can we get him down when you get back? So, can we come down and throw a few axes at each other?
Yeah, of course. Well, not at each other. Side by side. Side by side. We'll get you.
Exactly.
Find out who's the champ.
But, I mean, just to get this absolutely right, Jules, and explain it, is it a bit like a game of darts or a bowling alley? You stand a good distance away from a target and you hurl the axe at it, and you have to get it as close to the ball as possible, i.e., as you would with a dart. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, kind of like a cross between darts and bowling, sort of on steroids.
Yes.
So you've got the kind of target sport factor of it, where you're trying to go for that bullseye for 5 points. But also a bit like bowling, it's a bit more side by side. So every shot you take, you're side by side with someone else. So it's competitive, head to head all the way.
I see. And where did this come from? Because the last time I saw people throwing axes around was in the famous film The Alamo, when I think it was
The Alamo.
Yeah, Jim Bowie, the knife guy.
Isn't that a tomahawk you're throwing?
Yeah, tomahawks. But the tomahawks are the same as axes, aren't they?
Yeah, just a sort of different sort. We use a basic sort of hatchet, so it's your common garden axe, but just in a much more entertaining way. So I mean, it's got massive in Canada over recent years. It's bringing axe throwing into the city and turning it into a competitive sport instead of a sort of solo woodsman's activity.
Right. And what's the sort of the flight of the axe? Because I'm thinking that you've got because I've got a relatively small axe for chopping wood, and then there's the two-handed one. Do you throw it and does it sort of go over itself like a boomerang in the air, as it were?
Yeah, a bit like that. It just turns once in the air, so it turns of its own accord. Once you've swung it over your shoulder, it does one rotation, and then the aim is to try and get it stuck in the board with the point. Just the top edge of the blade is the sweet spot for getting it stuck in the boards there. Yeah. So it's all about the rotation.
I'm sure it is. Now, I understand that an application has been made at a new axe throwing club in Manchester for a licence to make it licensed premises. Isn't that the height of folly to have people who are wielding axes bladderated on, several pints of lager and, not just missing the board, but supposing they suddenly start having grudges against people they think have been
only you would think
chatting
like
up their girlfriends or something like that.
No.
You know what? We manage it so carefully all the way through. The last thing we want is someone turning up who's not fit to throw an axe. So every throw, we've got our instructors right next to our competitors, making sure they know exactly what they're doing. They're getting their technique down to a T, but also that they're safe to throw at every stage. So we handle it so carefully without the booze that if and when that does come in with it, then it'll be carefully managed and just making sure everyone has a good time and goes home in one piece, of course.
Yeah, that would be helpful. It must be quite strenuous activity as well. You must have to do a few exercises to make sure your arm is... I mean, how far are you actually throwing it?
It's about 4.5 metres. So it's not that far. The axes have a bit of heft to them, but they're not so heavy that it's unwieldy for most people.
Sure.
We find it's not all a power game, so it's as much technique as anything else. So guys and girls can compete on a pretty even playing field, which is nice. So you get lots and lots of mixed groups.
Unlike darts, Jules, I assume that you have to change the board virtually after every game, do you? Because, if a dart is just a pinprick into a darts board, an axe is going to split a wooden board apart, isn't it, after a number of throws?
Yeah, they do take a bit of beating. We do have to refresh the targets pretty often.
Yes.
It depends how heavy the groups are and how many people we got coming through. But they take a bit of a battering, but we make sure they're always in good shape for the next bunch of people.
Amazing.
And is it basically just a sort of a hobby, a pastime? I mean, is it something that people are doing professionally? Because it's the sort of thing you can see ending up as an Olympic sport if people take it seriously.
There are no certified pros as yet, but we'll see where it goes. I mean, we've had a massive reception in London. People are getting really into it, and we're going to be launching our first league very soon. So hopefully the skill of the nation at axe throwing is going to be massive compared to how it was just 6 months to a year ago, and we'll see where it heads to.
OK, fine. Now, when I was a juvenile and I wasn't very bright, Jules, I used to follow a football club. Excuse me, I used to football club, and we used to chant this song: "We don't carry weapons, we don't carry lead, we just carry axes to bury in your head." Now, that was obviously...
a terrible chant.
Of course it is. Of course it's a terrible chant.
Who chanted that?
Sorry? Just a bunch of random football fans. And, of course, I would completely decry it and say it was rubbish. But actually, if you get good enough and you were evilly minded, could you actually hurl an axe at another human being 30 feet away and have the axe buried into it? Because I'm interested to know just how
Shocking question.
bad... I mean, could you, target somebody's head if you were of evil intent?
Well, in much the same way that archery and shooting are target sports, then whatever your target is, if you're skilled enough, you'll hit your target. We're
good answer.
It's a stupid question. That. Sorry about that,
targets only.
No, it's not.
Listen, people come in with pitches.
Yeah.
When are you back from Australia?
Next week.
Okay, well, we'll get in touch. We'll come down and throw a couple of axes.
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
don't mind.
Definitely, I'd love to.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on down.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
We'll have another Porky challenge. Jules Whitehall there from the Whistle Punks Urban Axe Company.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, that's a very stupid question you've asked all show.
It's not. Have you never heard that chant? When you were a kid?
No, I've never heard it, no.
It used to go like this. Look,
I grew up in Hampstead.
We don't
sing that in Hampstead.
Carry bottles. We don't carry lead. We only carry axes to bury in your head.
Why are you singing that?
No, but I'm not. I mean, it wasn't... I didn't seriously want to go around burying axes in people's heads, obviously.
Right.
But, I mean, that was just, when you were a juvenile.
Sort of bravado.
Yeah, exactly. About 13 or 14, you used to, go around...
That's horrible.
...expressing how hard you were and all that kind of stuff.
If my children went around singing that, it'd be awful.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The Two Mics on Talk Sport.
afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the Two Mikes on Talk Sport. Coming up in this hour, we're going to talk to Kirsty Clark, who's a whisky expert. I had quite a lot of whisky over the Christmas period, I have to say. I don't know whether you did, Porky, it's not really one of your drinks, is it?
No.
We're also going to talk about fur as well, because I've got another story to tell you about something I've witnessed. Postman Pork coming up in a little while. We'll be heading up to Anfield as well to get the team news from Graham Beecroft. Liverpool Stoke coming up a bit later. 3-0 to Brighton against QPR. Who are you? Down in the Amex Stadium.
Who are you?
We'll be crossing there as well. You're listening to Two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. Talk Sport. You can tweet us, of course, at the Two Mikes, at Mike Parry, at IROMG. One here from Pete who says, charming, we only carry axes to bury in your head. The season of goodwill ended early, he says.
Now, come on, let's take this in context. Everybody knows that what I was talking about was, as a delinquent youth, being, immersed in that sort of football rivalry of the 70s and all that kind of stuff.
There was a lot of undercurrent of violence, wasn't there?
People, I mean...
We used to have punch-ups on the tube.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't have a tube.
No, well, you did. We had an underground...
Chester.
No, we had an underground train between the Wirral and Liverpool, you see.
What do you mean an underground train?
Well, what you used to do is...
a train that went under the Mersey.
Exactly, that's right.
Well, it's not an underground train, is it? It's an overground train.
It's an underground train. It goes under the Mersey.
What, you mean Liverpool's got an underground?
Yes.
Has it?
Yeah, of course it has.
Are you sure?
Of course it has. We used to go to James Street.
What's it called?
What do you mean, what's it called?
Well, every tube has got a name. There's a London Underground, right? There's a Clockwork Orange in Glasgow.
It's called Low Level.
Low Level?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. And what we did
Never heard of it.
we get the train from Chester to Birkenhead.
Right.
And to Hamilton Square, I think. And then the train would go underground, right?
Yeah.
And it would surface at James Street. And these days, actually, it goes all the way to...
I don't really want a sort of,
Lime Street. But anyway,
chapter and verse
the
of
point
the tube map in Liverpool.
What you used to do is you used to boast with all your mates, the Liverpool fans, United fans, Everton fans, do you carry lead or do you carry, a brick or...
What sort of upbringing did you have?
Well, I know.
Look, this one, it says from Hell's Bells, did Porky learn this tune at an approved school?
Approved school, yeah.
Hey?
Well, I was at the King's School Chester, but I mean, that was a separate part of my life. I didn't take those sort of tribal rivalries into the King's School Chester, where we were all very well brought up young men.
We used to have fights with the Holland Park School, which was the first comprehensive school in London.
Yes, that's right.
Because I went to Cardinal Vaughan, which was a grammar school down the road.
Yes.
And it was never at our instigation. It was always at theirs. Sometimes they would come down to the school gates and wait for us.
Right.
And these were all, a lot of them were kind of upper-class kids, like Tony Bender sent his kids there.
Well, I
see,
and
it was one of these very
it was
socialist experiment-type schools.
It was the world's poshest sort of comprehensive school, wasn't it?
It was.
Because most of the parents who sent their kids there lived in million-pound houses, and even in those days.
And funny enough, most of the kids at my grammar school were working-class kids from Shepherd's Bush.
That's right.
Who were QPR fans.
Yeah, that's right.
We always used to win.
No, you're absolutely right.
Funnily enough. Now, here's something I'm going to surprise you with. Right? We were talking about rabbits earlier and bats and things of a furry nature. I've seen something in the last 4 or 5 days, twice, which I thought I would never see again.
Go on.
A woman wearing a proper mink fur coat.
Right, where was that?
Once was coming out of the tube over in East London.
And how do you know it was proper fur?
Because I can tell. I mean, you and I lived in New York for a long time, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of faux fur around. When you see a proper mink coat, you know that it is, right? And the second one I saw this morning as I was about to board a bus for this very office, right? This very studio. Right. And it turned out to be one of my neighbours. Who came to the bus stop and started saying hello to me, and I didn't realise it was her because she was wearing a fur hat and a full-length mink coat.
Yes.
And I said, my goodness, you're the second person I've seen in 3 days wearing a mink coat.
Right.
Because it does have a certain look to it.
And did you ask her about the resistance that other people might express towards her wearing real fur?
I said to her, are you going to brave the petter crowd who are going to be throwing blood on you?
Would you walk down Oxford Street in that, for instance?
She said, nobody bothers me. Because she said there's so much faux fur around and nobody really thinks it's real, which is only people of our age. Yeah. And I was a bit troubled by that because she seems quite a bit older than me. Yeah. You know when somebody says our age,
that's
you
right.
think, well, hang on a second, I'm not as old as you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Heaven's sake.
Speak for yourself, my dear.
She's got a free bus pass time,
Oh, yeah.
And she said no. She said I bought it. She bought it at Greenwich Market, second hand, a few years ago.
Yeah.
And she said, it's absolutely brilliant. It's so
my
warm,
mum
heavy.
My mum had a fur coat when I was a kid. I remember,
they're very heavy, aren't they?
Very heavy, and the sheer softness of the sort of fur and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if she's still got it or whatever. Yeah. I've not seen it for years.
What did you buy her for Christmas, by the way?
Who?
Your mother.
A lot of sherry.
Sherry.
A lot of sherry. What's wrong with that?
What, to keep her sedated?
No, you fool. No, she likes the odd glass of sherry. So
how was Sue Ellen, by the way?
Sorry?
How was Sue Ellen? A couple of people have been asking.
Absolutely fine, thank you. If you're referring to my elder sister, who's a dignified and reasonable woman, she's fine, thank you very much indeed.
No problem.
And not blighted in any way by the very cruel, the very, very cruel and unnecessary moniker attached to her by Mr. Brazil.
Is that right?
Who, let's face it, is not always the best judge of a person's imbibement
You're suggesting
habits.
he's got a glass house in this area?
Not at all. I tell you what I did discover over the weekend, from one of my journals. You know how much food is thrown away over Easter?
Easter?
Over Christmas. Over Christmas.
What's about Easter for?
I don't know, because Easter comes up next. I've already seen Easter eggs in the shops, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Rubbish.
No, do you know how much food is thrown away?
I have no idea.
It costs households in this country £230 million a year.
Well, people buy. I mean, considering that the shops are closed for one day, right? Because they're open Saturday, they're open Monday.
Yeah.
Everyone's out again, going back to the Boxing Day sales, right?
Yes.
Now, there's more blood down at the old game at the Amex.
Oh, is there?
There's a guy now getting a bandage strapped to his head.
Bandage strapped to his head.
I think.
Yeah.
From QPR, so he might not be on for long.
He might not be on for long.
Anyway, no, but I mean, people strip the shops bare.
Yeah.
For one day.
They do.
One day.
Now, what they mostly buy. This is in the research paper I've seen. They buy more potatoes than anything else, okay? You won't believe this, because I couldn't, and I had to double-check it. We throw away more than 2 billion potatoes every year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
2 billion?
2 billion. Imagine 2 billion potatoes.
2 billion actual potatoes, or £2 billion worth or something?
No, 2 billion potatoes.
Blimey.
If you laid them side by side, the spoilt potatoes that we are failing to eat would stretch around the earth 4 times, laid on top of each other. Eh?
Why would you do that?
Just to illustrate the mass. Laid on top of each other, they would make it halfway to the moon. If you cut them into chips, they would reach the moon and back 3 times. The research said an approximate weight of the discarded potatoes was, get this, 73,000 tonnes a year. That's about the weight of a large cruise ship in the Mediterranean.
That's outrageous, isn't it?
The equivalent of more than 50,000 family cars, and all of this ends up in landfill, okay?
Yeah.
Each year, the average family...
Why are they putting this? Is it not biodegradable? If it's potatoes, they didn't. Why are they putting it in a landfill for?
Well, you've got to put it somewhere. You can't.
I know, but I mean,
burn it. Otherwise, you've got roast potatoes.
Well, no, but they're not all being. They're not all be put in one spot, are they?
They're put in landfill. There's nowhere else to put them.
No, but surely people. Are you talking about people who have bought potatoes
and throw them out again? Yeah.
Well, don't they just go out in the rubbish then?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
it's not like a big mountain of potatoes, are they?
I'm only telling you what my research papers tell me, and they're not usually wrong.
No.
It says each year the average family throws away food worth more than £700, and 7 million tonnes of avoidable food waste going to landfill.
That's not all potatoes, though, is it?
No, it's other stuff as well.
Right. So you're over-egging the potato argument.
I'm not. These are all facts. Food waste is worse than packaging waste because when it decomposes, it releases methane, a gas far more likely than carbon dioxide to cause global warming. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is a scandal.
Yeah, it is.
It's an absolute scandal.
Do you think your family wasted any food this
No, none
Christmas?
at all. None at all.
Are you sure?
I can tell you, all my family are very, very conscious and aware of the fact that if you buy food, you should eat it, and we've been taught that since a very early age. And you don't throw it away because there are other people in the world who would gladly do that food.
You can't
if you
eat
don't
all
want
of it, can you?
I eat most things that I buy. I throw very, very little food away.
Yeah.
And that's what we were taught by my mother, you see.
I'm talking about Christmas Day. But anyway, he's a man who doesn't throw much food away. The Moose is down at the Amex. It's nearly over down there. It's still 3-0.
It certainly is. I eat everything I'm given and things that I'm not given as well.
And more.
Absolutely. Brighton 3, QPR 0. 5 and a bit minutes to go here. 5 and a bit minutes more of agony for Ian Holloway, who's still waving his arms and gesticulating on the touchline. The goals from Sam Baldock, Glenn Murray, and the later from Anthony Knockart. 2 of the goal scorers, Baldock and Murray, have been replaced. Remember, Brighton have got another game here on Friday night against Cardiff City, Neil Warnock's side. They're going to go top of the table in 5 minutes' time, though, and thoroughly deserve it. The sending off of Nella Manur was ridiculous, completely the wrong decision, but hasn't really influenced the game, if the truth be told. And 5 minutes to go as the sun dips below the stand that I'm sitting in, and it's currently Brighton 3, QPR 0.
Thanks very much indeed, Moose. Not long to go there. We've got Liverpool Stoke coming up later on. Powell says this, Mr. Graham, will you tell Porky Liverpool's underground is called Mersey Rail?
That's it.
The plank. But I've got another one here from Mark.
We used to just call it the low level, to
The
be honest.
Mersey Underground closed in 1948, according to Wikipedia.
Well, there you go.
Well, so how did you go on it then?
Well, there's a low-level train connection, right, from one side of the Wirral to the other. And I used it as a kid when we used to go to Everton. We used to call it low-level, right? That's what we used to call it. High-level, low-level. It was
low-level. It's very apt for you, isn't it?
No, it's not very apt at all. That's the way it was in those days, OK?
All right.
So just put that in your pipe and smoke it,
Jane says, old Porky seems a bit too enthusiastic about the axe-throwing outing.
What?
This is Talk Sport.
The transfer window opens on January 1st. Get details on all the deals as they're done. The January transfer window on Talk Sport.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Limits and wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange. Faces come out of the rain when you're strange. No one remembers your name.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Postman Pork coming up a little bit later on. We will be doing Ask Porky tomorrow. Porky Vision on Thursday.
Yes.
And then on Friday we'll do a Porky quiz on 2016.
That's fine, yes, I think so. Yeah, I have an instant recollection of everything that's happened this year.
Okay.
And talking about everything that's happened, by the way, we haven't yet touched on the appalling and shocking development over Christmas of the death of one of the great musicians, singer-songwriters in the world, George Michael.
Yeah, well, we will get to that, I'm sure. But right now we're going to talk to Kirsty Clark, who's a whiskey expert, I'm delighted to say, because I'm quite partial to a bit of the old whiskey.
Yep.
She's going to be telling us about why certain whiskey makers are getting a bit upset about all the rules and regulations in Scotland, and they're thinking about setting up elsewhere.
Well, not just setting up, some of them have. Some of them have gone south of the border and set up in England to produce Scotch whiskey.
Well, let's find out what it's all about. Kirsty, very good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Yeah,
Hi,
very well.
Kirsty. Thank you for joining us.
Now, what is this?
Thank you for having me.
What is going on in Scotland, and why are they being so kind of, shall we say, red tape bound with all these rules and regulations?
Well, like a lot of food that has protected status, like your champagne and your Milton Mowbray pies, etc., the Scottish Whisky Association is there to protect Scotch whisky in particular. Whisky does come from many places. You've obviously got Irish whisky. Whisky's been made in England, not just by Paul, and obviously the Lakes Distillery. Coming across the world, Japan is obviously very hot property at the moment for whisky. So Scottish Whisky Association is a governing body that rules what can and can't be called Scotch, so that nobody else can go ahead and trade on its name. But with that comes certain regulations. So Paul used to, along with his dad, have a distillery called the Arran Distillery and was involved in starting that and produced Scotland and whisky for a long time and has now started up a distillery in the Lakes, which, although is making whisky, has not yet produced any of its own whisky. But being over the border in England, there's no boundaries of the SWA, so they can pretty much do what they like in terms of experimenting.
But they can't call it Scotch, though, can they?
That's right. No, you can't call it Scotch. Scotch can only be made in Scotland under the same regulations, which are the type of cask and how long it has to be aged for.
OK, so what will they call it? Just whiskey?
Yeah, they'll call it whiskey.
Right.
So it'll still be bottled as whiskey, if that's what they want to go ahead and call it, and it'll obviously have the information on the label as to what makes it different.
I see. Now, Kirsty...
You got Irish whiskey, right?
Oh, you got Irish whiskey.
Bourbon.
Irish whiskey, all of that. Whiskey of an E.
Are they allowed to spell it without the E?
No, Irish whiskey is always spelled with the E, and that's usually how you know the difference between the two.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, the stuff they're making in England, which is meant to be Scotch, can they call that whiskey without the E?
They could do. They will call it whiskey without the E, and that'll be what happens with that, but they won't be able to call it Scotch whiskey.
No, can they call it English whiskey?
Yeah, there's already a company out there, the English Whisky Distillery,
are
out there making whiskey in England and have been producing for a while now.
That's brilliant.
You wouldn't want to buy English whiskey, though, would you?
Well, you'd taste it first, wouldn't you, and then find out and say, wow, this is not bad. I mean,
as a marketing aspect, you don't want to call it English, do you?
Well, I don't know. The Japanese produce a lot of whiskey now, don't they, Kirsty?
Yeah, they do. Japan is very popular at the moment. Japanese whiskey is a big deal, and there's also some really good Indian whiskey out there at the moment.
Indian whiskey. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
John whiskey is made in India. The peat comes from Scotland, gets flown over to India, where they actually make the whiskey and then bring it back over again.
Yes.
You can actually find Paul John's in Marks and Spencer's and places.
Really?
Now.
Kirsty, let me just interrupt you. I'm very sorry about this. Just for one moment, we've got to go down to Brighton to get the full-time score from the Moose. We'll be right back to you. Stay where you are, Moose.
Full-time, Brighton 3, Queen's Park Rangers 0, so it means that Brighton do go top of the table tonight because of that victory, and it was a victory that was well deserved as well. Ahead after 10 minutes, Sam Baldock firing home from 20 yards out. 2-0 just after half-time. Ridiculous decision by the defender Luongo to slide in on Dale Stevens, and the penalty was put away with some aplomb by Glenn Murray, who missed an earlier header. Then another ridiculous decision, this time the referee sending off Neda Manure for a straight red card for denying a goal-scoring opportunity. Barely a foul on Baldock, let alone a goal-scoring opportunity. The goal-scoring, though, was rounded off by Anthony Knockart. Brilliant individual goal from him. He celebrated by paying homage to his father, who died recently just before Christmas. He was named man of the match. More than 30,000 here lapped it up, and Brighton at the top of the table. Brighton 3, Queen's Park Rangers 0.
All bad news for Who Are You? Let's go back to Kirsty. Yeah. Kirsty, my apologies. Sorry about that.
Kirsty, can I ask you one point, please? And this is historical, really. I understand that one of the issues is what you store the whisky in, i.e. which sort of wood the barrels are made of.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest regulations, one of the most important impacts on whisky itself, really, is where all of the flavour comes from. Yeah. And that's the barrel. And under the SWA regulations, it needs to be an oak barrel.
Right, I see. But now in England, they're talking about using maple and all sorts of things, aren't they?
That's right, yeah. They won't be the first people to do that. As the Swedish whiskey Macmira, they use birch, juniper, many different types of wood, and have sometimes the results are really good. Sometimes they're not so much. And touching on a point earlier on that was mentioned with would you want to use the fact it was English whiskey and marketing, it really depends when you look at it. For too long, the reputation has been built up on the thinking of what's behind the whiskey, what's in the barrel, rather than actually tasting the whiskey. And it's really, really important to go out and try whiskey. You know, it's never been so popular. There's a massive boom at the moment.
Right.
So many whiskies from so many areas, and the best thing you can do is just taste as much as you can.
And see what happens.
Well, we do like to do a bit of that. Porky only 1/3 of his heart work, so he doesn't like to drink too much whiskey.
Well,
but
that's right.
I had some very nice whiskey over the course of the Christmas period.
You? Yeah.
They're also making a lot of gin in Scotland now as well, aren't they?
Again, that goes quite hand in hand with the amount of distilleries that are being made. As whiskey can't be sold until it's at least 3 years old, they need something to be able to bring money in, and gin obviously has no real distillation time. It's also very hot at the moment, lots of botanicals being used and new experimentation. So a lot of whiskey distilleries can quite easily produce gin on the side to bring in an income while allowing the whiskey to lay, being aged for longer but still getting in an income.
That's right. And is it historically true, Kirsty, that the reason whiskey is the colour it is in Scotland, because of course some Irish whiskey, poteen, is clear, is it because
poteen is a whiskey, though?
Yeah, is it because the barrels in which the whiskey was brought back to this country from overseas were sherry barrels, which had taken sherry, you know, formerly on other journeys, and then filled full of whiskey, which turned it brown?
Well, barrels are really the key to everything about whiskey. You know, the cask is really important, and that's where all of the colour and all the flavour is imported from. So when spirit comes off the stills, they're known as new make, it's completely clear. It then goes into the barrel, and all the colour it takes comes from the oak itself and what's been inside it.
That's amazing.
So usually a darker whiskey will be a sherried whiskey, whereas also bourbon whiskies will also colour. And sometimes you used to be able to use colour very much as an indication of age, but things have changed nowadays with the way that whiskey is distilled and its conditions, and anything can change the colour. Sometimes artificial colours are added by some whiskey makers because it used to be thought the darker the whiskey, the better the whiskey, because it was believed it would be older.
Sure.
But that really isn't the case. I've had some very light whiskies that are very old and pack tremendous flavour.
Yeah.
So you know, you can't really go on just colour alone anymore. You've really got to take the whiskey as a whole. But yes, certainly sherry whiskies do tend to be darker because it's got more of the natural sherry colouring in it.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Well,
Thank
Kirsty,
you very much indeed, Kirsty.
Tell us about your website, Whiskey Corner, before we leave you.
Yeah, Whiskey Corner, which is www.whiskeycorner.co.uk, is run by myself and Stuart Cragon, my partner, and we write about whiskey. I also I've had articles published. We run festivals and attend many PR events for whiskey and do a lot of tasting notes from the distilleries and just basically really geek out on whiskey all the time. And I like to write a few articles that aren't always well thought of. Well, they usually they go down very well, but they've got a lot of my own opinions on it. I'm not shy and say
You've got to tell us about the next time you do a tasting. We'll come along.
Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Or we'll come and give you a tasting.
Okay.
We'll tell you everything you need to know.
Thank you very much indeed.
Sounds good to me. We'll get some whiskey drinking going on in the studio.
And there's whiskey in the jar.
Yeah. That was, of course, sung by Thin Lizzy.
That's right, yeah.
It
wasn't an original song, though, was it? It was an Irish folk song, wasn't it?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah.
I think it was written by Phil Lynott.
No, it wasn't. No, it was an Irish folk song, which he sort of revved up a bit.
Okay,
you know?
all right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get more out of you on that subject coming up. We've also got Postman Pork coming up a little bit later on, so if you've sent a communication to Mr. Parry, or indeed to the two mics, you may have it read out very shortly. This is Talk Sport.
Your word is worth nothing.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How about this from Jane?
There's a load of good places I've been to as well.
Oh, really?
You know?
Well, maybe we'll do a series on that. Hi, Porky. Regarding wasting food, what about your KFC chicken that you disposed of the other week?
Well, I had to because I bought too much, and I made sure it was recycled anyway.
How much did you get?
What?
How much did you get exactly?
£25 worth. It came in big buckets.
And how much of it did you eat?
About £7 worth, I would imagine.
£7 worth?
Yeah.
How many pieces of chicken is that? How many pieces of chicken did you actually get?
A lot. I mean,
like
you can't
10?
count them. Well, you can't count them because there were little boxes which had, like, bubble chicken in them as well. So
Bubble
it's about
chicken?
10 or 12 of them.
What's
yeah.
that?
Well, you know, like bubble gum.
What?
It's like batter with chicken inside, and there's about 10 of those in a small
you mean like
box.
chicken nuggets?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but smaller than nuggets. You know,
Smaller than nuggets?
Yeah, smaller
like
than
the
nuggets.
size of Maltesers?
It's smaller than that. More like the size of peas, to be honest.
What, chicken the size of peas?
Yeah, chicken the size of, like, big
sure?
Marifat peas.
Are you sure it was chicken?
You know the large Marifat peas you can get in a tin? They're about that size.
In a tin?
Yeah. But they're not in a tin.
Those.
They're in cardboard box, obviously, you know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he chucked all that away. How about this one from Dave? He says, have you heard of waste food composting? The council collects food waste here weekly so it doesn't go to landfill.
Yeah,
I mean, people used to have compost heaps at the bottom of their garden.
Oh, they did, yeah. But that's when people
put
had
in an allotment or something.
That's when people had big gardens, you know. I mean, I remember...
No, you didn't have to have a big garden to have a compost heap.
I remember my Uncle Alex, when we used to go and see him.
Your Uncle Alex?
Yeah, he lived
You've
in
never
North...
mentioned him before.
Well, he's been dead, like, a lot of years now. Yeah.
What did he do? Was he also a criminal, like most of the members of your family?
Sorry, I'm not having that. Members of his surviving family may well be listening to this show, and I will have my Uncle Alex spoken to in those sort of terms. He was an extremely industrious man. He worked at court house. He'd been a former police officer, and he was a fine man and a great member of society.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did he like a drink?
Not really, no, not really, no. He was a hard-working man.
To you?
He was a hard-working man.
So what? He never did anything that was slightly shady, and he didn't like a drink. I don't believe he's your relative.
But we used to go to his house. It was in a place called Mould.
Mould, yeah, North Wales.
Yeah, North Wales, yeah. And they had a lovely sort of house, on a piece of land, and he had an orchard and everything. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I remember
did he make his own cider then?
Sorry?
Did he not make his own cider?
I don't know. I think they used to collect the apples and all that kind of stuff. But, of course, because they had a big, expansive field and all that, they had compost heaps and all that kind of stuff, yeah. Right. First time I ever came across them.
Yeah, it's very good.
So, I don't want you slagging off my family,
I'm not slagging them off at all. Absolutely not. Nothing could be further from my wishes.
Yeah.
Dave says this, the Liverpool Underground is very much still in use and actually older than the London Underground. The overhead railway shut in 1948.
Thank you very much.
So it was the overground that shut. The underground is still going.
Well, there's still an overground
So
railway.
is there an underground that goes around Liverpool then?
Well,
or does it just link the two places?
I think it's only about 3 or 4 stations, to be honest. It's James Street and it goes to Lime Street, but it's sort of come up out of the ground by then, Right. Central Station.
Okay.
And there's one other, I think, but I'm not that sure. I only ever used to get off at James Street and don't use it now because if I ever get the train now, it all goes overground,
Rowan,
except for the bit that goes under the Mersey, obviously.
Which is obviously underground.
Yes,
Rowan says it's called popcorn chicken, you plank.
There you go.
I hope you had a great Christmas.
There you go. See, popcorn chicken.
Well, did you taste it?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
What does it taste like? Does it taste like popcorn?
No, it tastes like chicken, but it has the appearance of popcorn because it's wrapped in batter.
I don't get that. I don't understand.
Well,
you're not painting a very good picture of it.
Well, it's too difficult to explain to you. The trouble is I got about 6 packets of it, so I didn't want to eat 6 packets of it, did I?
Well, I don't know.
Got corn as well. I like corn.
Corn?
Yeah.
Did you get that in... Is that in, like, popcorn form?
No, it comes in a...
Because it is corn.
No, it comes in a plastic sleeve, doesn't it? With the
plastic sleeve?
Yeah.
Hey?
With the butter already in it
you
inside.
mean it's on the cob, you mean?
Yeah, corn on the cob, that's right. Yeah, you know it, and it's very nice indeed.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much of that did you eat?
Oh, I think I got about 6 and I ate about 2.
2?
Yes, I think so, yeah. But anyway, look, I mean...
Why'd you get 6 corn on the cobs?
Well, because it came with the bucket. You see, the ones I ordered were at the sort of, the all-in meal.
Was there anyone else in the place when you were ordering all this food?
Yeah, loads of people, yeah. By the way...
Did they not wonder who you were ordering it for?
No. Well, I didn't know how much I'd ordered, did I? By the way, talk about... Now, yesterday, which was sort of Boxing Day...
Boxing Day official, yeah. Today, technically, is Christmas Day holiday.
No, today's... No, it's not.
No, it is. Because this is the holiday we get for Christmas Day, because Christmas Day fell on a Sunday.
Right, OK.
So yesterday was Boxing Day.
Boxing Day?
Yesterday was Boxing Day because it was a proper Boxing Day holiday Monday.
So today's the sort of...
Today's technically Christmas Day. You look confused.
No, I'm a little bit confused. Anyway, so yesterday I go off
Boxing Day.
On a walk, across the downs and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And we end up in a beautiful... yes, members of my family.
Oh, what, were you still there with them then?
When?
Did you stay over Christmas Day?
No, I went home in a car and then I came back the following day in another car. I get people to run me around, you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh. So anyway, yesterday...
Oh, nice for you.
Yesterday, we go for a walk across the North Downs and golf course and all that kind of stuff. End up in a...
Which one?
What?
Which one?
Kingswood.
Kingswood?
Yes.
That's quite a good club, that.
Yes, it is, yes.
Nice.
And we end up in a beautiful hostelry.
How funny.
The service was great and all that, full of the Christmas spirit and all that.
You didn't have to have another Christmas dinner, though, did you?
No, of course not. No, we went home for Christmas dinner.
I mean, sometimes you go to places and all they're doing is Christmas dinner.
No.
And you don't want one.
No, it was quite separate. There's a bar there and there's a restaurant side, and the two were quite separate.
Right.
Anyway, so later I had to visit another hostelry, okay?
Why?
Well, just for reasons that,
Was this on your own?
Of meeting. Yes, I was actually, yes.
Yeah.
And what happened was, which was, drives me absolutely mad, is that you're standing there and you're gracious and say to the chap in front of you, "Oh, you're here before me, mate. You have a,
Well, if he's standing in front of you, that's pretty obvious.
No, he's standing next to me,
okay.
But I was gracious in the sense that I was asked by the bar person, "What can I get you to drink?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No, sorry, this chap here was before me."
Okay.
"Oh, thank you very much." Do you know what he ordered?
What?
A mocha, a regular coffee, a tea, and a hot chocolate. It took the bar person a good 10 minutes to organise all those drinks. Yeah. And I was literally...
And there was nobody else behind the bar?
Nobody else behind the bar. And I was spitting feathers.
Yeah.
And I thought, why do they do this? Why do they serve coffee in pubs on a public bank holiday when there's few staff and people want to drink? And it drove me completely mad.
Well, maybe he was driving.
Maybe he was driving. I don't care if he was driving or not. The point is, why do you go into a pub for 4 cups of coffee? Yeah. Go to, Costa or Starbucks or something.
Sort of fuming, tapping your fingers.
Absolutely fuming.
Yeah.
Absolutely fuming. And, wondering whether to walk out as a protest. You know what I mean?
You see, if he'd been a decent guy, knowing that he was going to order all that, he might have said to you, "Well, if you're on your own, why don't you just go first?"
Yeah, but he might have thought, because it quite often happens, that we'd come in, settle down at a table, and I'd gone up to the bar to get the drinks.
Well, that's the thing. You never know. I mean,
exactly.
I've let people in. I had somebody in Borough Market, actually, in the Market Porter, just before Christmas.
Yes.
Amateurs are all out there. And
that's right.
I let this guy go before me out of courtesy. I was on my own, just having a quick drink before I went home.
Yes.
And he ordered about 15 drinks.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I was standing there like, what on earth are you thinking?
Exactly, yeah. Why couldn't you have said, "Oh, well, listen, mate,
So did you say anything to the guy?
I couldn't, could I? What could I say? I mean, it's not illegal to buy a mocha, a regular coffee, a hot chocolate and a cup of tea. Yeah, it should be illegal. Should be definitely illegal. Should be some law against selling liquids without alcohol in them in pubs.
Really?
That's what I think.
Well, what about the designated driver?
Hey?
Have you heard about that system? The designated driver.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Of course it does.
It doesn't. If people, look, all over Christmas, I had cars
people go out and they don't drink.
Picking me up and dropping me off and all that kind of stuff.
Not everybody's got your kind of money.
No, it's not doing money. It's about arranging the thing properly. I mean,
how much would you say you spent over Christmas?
I don't know, and I don't care. But one morning, of course, because I'm very popular within my family group, a member of the family would come and get me. Sorry, what do you mean
you're very popular within your family group?
Like
what is it, like a group of gorillas or something?
You idiot, honestly, I'm not going to pursue this
conversation.
Why don't you
get the giant to drive you around?
Eh?
Why don't you get the giant to drive you around?
Well, you need a big car for my nephew Tom to get in because years ago, we one of the cars in the family was a Yaris.
You wouldn't be able to get in.
You can't get in it. You'd have to sit in the back seat.
My mother used to have an MG midget. The really small cars.
I know. Yeah.
I used to. When I got into it, I could never get out. I used to have to roll out of it. It was so small.
What, when you were driving it, you mean?
Yeah.
At the age of about 18 or 19 or something?
No, I was in my 20s, I think.
Oh, I see.
But it was just such a small car. Yeah. My dad used to got the ashtray on 4 wheels.
The Astro?
The ashtray on 4 wheels.
Oh, ashtray on 4 wheels, yeah, I see.
All my mother did was smoking it.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
Now, how about this from Larry?
Right.
Porky was was right for once. Mike, Whiskey in the Jar is an 18th century Irish folk song.
Thank you.
Listen to the Dubliners' drunk version.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And you were pouring scorn on it. Now, here, I'll listen to this one here. Yeah. It says, once Porky's right, Whiskey in the Jar is a traditional song that's been covered by the Pogues, Metallica and Thin Lizzy. No, you haven't. You read another one. And then on the coffee one...
yeah, let's read some more out in praise of you, shall we?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and that comes from Billy Butler.
Really?
There used to be a guy called Billy Butler who used to be the Everton...
his real name?
Used to be the Everton DJ, at the ground. And
right, yeah, like the Pete Abbott of Goodison Park.
That's right, absolutely right, yeah.
I mean, Everton bought a new player, by the way.
I think we are in the process of buying a young chap from Charlton for 10 million quid.
What's his name?
That's what I've read this morning. Yeah. His name, I will tell you, because I've been doing some research on this young man, and his name is Adamola Lookman.
Lookman?
Lookman.
Lookman?
Yeah, he's from Charlton. He's 19. Now, look, I don't know if that deal's done.
Charlton?
Hey?
I mean, is he from Charlton or is he from somewhere else?
He came through some youth academy and ended up at Charlton and Everton put him in. But I don't know if that's going ahead or not. Right, here we go. Chris in Brighton says, Mr. Parry, couldn't agree with you more. If you want a coffee, go to a coffee house. Pubs are for boozing and bring back smoking, says Chris in Brighton. Well, I can't actually endorse the bring back smoking bit, mate. I don't smoke, and I think it could
Take the vote away from women as well while you're at it.
Could be quite unpleasant for people around you in those boozers. Although I can't work out why they can't introduce smoking rooms in pubs, which do not disturb other people who don't smoke.
They could.
Yeah.
Adrian says this. Could you wish my brother Ben Williams a happy birthday today? He and myself are big fans of you guys.
Right.
Happy birthday to Ben Williams.
What's his name? Ben Williams.
Ben Williams.
Happy birthday, Ben.
Williams.
Have a good one, pal. Yeah, Williams. Ben Williams. Yeah. Have a good holiday. No, I mean, have a good birthday, sorry. During the holiday period.
This is Talk Sport.
Yes.
This is Talk Sport. Got a great tweet here from Whiskey Corner from Kirsty, who we're just on with. She says, pleasure talking to you both, and you know where we are to share a dram. And then she says, Metallica's Whiskey in the Jar is a great cover. Maybe we should have a listen to that.
We certainly will,
at some point. I think I have heard that, actually.
Yeah.
But we should talk, since we're on the music subject, actually, of the whole situation regarding George Michael, which was terribly shocking, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was shocking.
You know, I think it was about 11 o'clock, was it? 10:30 on Christmas Day.
When did you learn about it?
Christmas Day night.
Right, well, I was in bed by the time it sort of broke.
We were still up, because I know you were saying you were going to be watching the new Bourne film.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
I'm very happy to announce that I was given not just the new Bourne film, but a box set of every Bourne movie.
Oh, blimey, that's brilliant.
Which is fantastic.
That's fantastic.
So we were working our way through them.
Yes.
Because I said, let's just watch all of them.
Yeah, great,
although
good.
We kept various people kept falling asleep.
Yes.
But I think it was about 10:30 when somebody said George Michael's died.
I didn't find out till 4 a.m.
Really?
Because I'd already gone to bed, and I literally got up at the time I normally do, sort of, just after 4, 10 past 4, quarter to 4. First thing I looked at, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And you're very slow to react to those, because you have to check and double check that it's not somebody who's misread it or had too much to drink or something like that, you know. And
because when we left the show on Saturday, Christmas Eve, Carrie Fisher had just been admitted to hospital. She seems to have made
she'd had
something
some
of a
sort
recovery.
of seizure on an aeroplane.
She'd had a heart attack on a plane.
But
she seems to have recovered okay for the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was terribly shocking, really. But as we're learning,
53.
Over the course of the last couple of days, some of the stories that have been written. He's been in and out of A&Es quite a bit lately, because he's got this lifestyle which perhaps, if you'd known about more, you might be less surprised that this had happened.
Not only that, but a picture was released, a very grainy picture of him in a restaurant near to his home in Oxfordshire quite recently, a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And it does show him to be, of a very different appearance to the normal images that you've seen of George Michael over the years, i.e. he did look bloated and he did look as though he'd put a bit of weight on and was losing a bit of his hair and all that kind of stuff. Happens to us all when you get old. But, of course, if you're one of the most famous men in the world, I suppose you have to, react. You have to cope with it, I suppose,
Yeah, and I mean, also, Rick Parfitt from Status Quo
died
that was
shocking
just
as well,
a couple of days before that, which was also a bit of a shock as well.
Yeah, it was, that was terrible. But at least we knew a little bit more about the sort of lifestyle of Status Quo. They were the original hell-raising rock and roll duo, weren't they? I went to Holland once for something, I can't remember who it was, but he and Francis Rossi were in the back of the plane. It was a budget airline
Not in the front
flight.
of the plane?
No, not in the front. No, it was a budget airline flight from somewhere like, I don't know, Stansted or Luton or something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, hang on, I'm sure that's... And we got on a plane. Anyway, I got up and I went back, and sure enough, it was them. And as a consequence, they first came into TalkSport and joined us in the show. We're talking about,
great guys.
Everything rock and roll.
Great guys. Well, I mean, everyone knows my George Michael story. I might tell it a bit later on as well.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The Two Mics on Talk Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the Two Mics on Talk Sport. We're in for Hawksby and Jacobs all this week, and next week we're in for Jim White on the mid-morning show as well, so there'll be lots to talk about between now and then, of course. Coming up in this hour, we're going to be going up to Liverpool to have a look ahead to the Liverpool-Stoke City game, which is a 5:15 kickoff. Mr. Beecroft will be in attendance there. Yep. Also, we'll be checking in with Naz Premji, who's watching Derby Birmingham for us, which is already underway. Yep. That derby up there, of course. Also, Postman Pork coming up in this hour, and we might have a revisit to that dreadful incident on Saturday's show about that Shirtgate scenario. 08717 223344 is the number. You're listening to the Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. Talk Sport. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course. Pete says this: pubs should be like airports, fast track for those ordering proper drinks and cattle class for coffee and food.
Yeah, well, I think
you could have two separate places, I suppose.
Well, why would you have a coffee bar inside a restaurant anyway, or,
they could
or a
do
bar
it. I
anyway?
mean, in the old-fashioned pubs, you know, where you'd have a public bar and a saloon bar.
That's right.
Which doesn't really seem to exist that much
It
anymore.
doesn't, no.
You could have the public bar for the serious sort of people who just want to have a drink.
Yeah, but
and then
mostly,
the saloon bar for everything else.
Mostly the public bar is for the what can I say? The regular drinkers.
That's what I'm saying.
Who people might refer to as riff-raff, but I wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't do that. No. And, well, you'd be in the public because you'd be in there with them.
No. The saloon bar is a bit more comfortable. I mean, in the old days, if you went in,
you would definitely be in the public bar with all the old drunks.
No. You don't understand. You see, if you go in the public bar, you pay like in the when I first started my drinking career. When you went in the public bar, you paid like.
Is that how you view it then?
Excuse me. What do you mean?
You paid my career as a drinker. It's a great name for a book. My drinking career.
That's right. Yeah, you paid 17p for a pint of beer. You see what I mean?
Right.
And then if you went in the saloon bar, you paid 18p.
Oh right.
So I'd always say.
So you always thought it was better off paying more.
Oh, definitely. I always said to my mate, meet in the saloon. So if I went in the saloon, and in those days, like you could look straight across the bar into the other room.
Yeah.
If I
Which was always smoke filled.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
absolutely. Full of sort of addled old. Soaks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so I would, often, I wouldn't allow myself to go into the public bar, so I would just be waving to them the side of the bar and get over here. You know what I mean? Because it was slightly upmarket.
Also, if you were slightly, not that you would encourage underage drinking, but if you were underage at the time, the saloon bar was possibly an easier place to get a drink.
Not only was it an easier place to get a drink, but you showed more confidence by going into the better bar. And as you were spending more money, they was more tolerant about allowing you to stay there.
Yes.
If you went into the public bar, the cheapskate would go in there and try and buy half a bitter at the lowest possible price. You know what I mean? Right. I never did that. I always ordered the most expensive drink so that they'd think I was a good customer.
Patrick says this: Liverpool Underground consists of Lime Street, Moorfields, James Street and Central Station, plus Hamilton Square in Birkenhead.
That's it, yeah. I got all of those except Moorfields, because I should have remembered that, because that's the name of a hospital in London, isn't it?
Tie Man says, with Porky's family dinner on the North Downs, would he have a table to himself?
No, it'd be at a family table.
All right.
Yeah.
So you'll be sort of occupying the main table in the place, but how many of you?
I've just rung them, actually, and just double-checked.
How many? Table for how many?
8.
Blimey.
Yes.
Who's paying?
I will.
Will you?
Yes, and
I'll
I have
you back a few quid.
Ordered 2 bottles of champagne to be placed at the table
Any
for when my family arrive. Well, to be honest, I said, look...
A house you asked for, didn't you?
I said, yeah, do you do decent house champagne? I said, yes, very decent. Yes.
That's shocking. You can't give them house champagne.
Well, I don't know what the house is. House might be Moet Chandon, so I'm not going to say something else. Sorry?
Well, why didn't you ask?
I don't have time, mate. We got a live radio show to do, so I can't spend all day, debating about...
I would be very embarrassed if I had to, supplying the family with house champagne.
Well, it's a very decent establishment, believe me, and I think you'll find that it will not be... Sorry?
What's the name of it?
I don't wish to go there. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Neil
says this: for God's sake, Porky, just tell everyone it's your birthday tomorrow.
What?
It's not a state secret.
It's not. It's not my birthday tomorrow. No.
Oh, when is your birthday then?
The day after. What are you having now?
Why are you having it? Why are you having it on your birthday?
Well, because I didn't want to keep the family in Surrey for another 2 days. So
you want to get rid of them. I don't blame you.
No, I don't get rid of them. I just want to make sure that, their stay is all action-packed and they're not, sort of sloping off. And
why have I not been invited, by the way?
Sorry?
Why have I not been invited?
I don't want you there,
I've met most
basically.
of the members of your family.
No, I don't think so.
I think your nephew's the only one I haven't met.
Well, he'd take one look at you and flatten you with a punch.
Well, because that's the sort of Parry trait. Violence.
No. He'll be aware of the digressions that you've lauded against me over the years.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it, mate.
Shocking.
No doubt about it.
Absolutely dreadful.
Yeah. Now then, talking about drink and all that, I've come across in one of my international journals.
International journals?
Yeah. Now that old Fidel Castro's gone.
He's one of the many people that left us in
2016.
He
has, yeah. But Cuba's now decided they've got to get rid of their international debt.
Right.
Okay?
How much is that? Must be quite a few bob.
$27.8 billion US dollars.
It's probably not that bad, is it?
Well, it doesn't sound that bad. But it is 1/3 of the total value of the country.
Yes.
You see what I mean? 1/3 of gross domestic product.
I'm surprised it's worth that much.
Yeah, I'm a bit, but I mean that's not, how much is it here? $24.7 billion, or 31% of the country's gross domestic product. Okay,
right.
So a country that's only worth $72 billion is a very poor country.
Yes.
However, 1/3 of it is owed to people overseas. But what they're going to do is they're making offers now to countries all over the world to pay them in rum. Rum.
I suppose that's their biggest export, isn't it?
It's their biggest export. Cuba is proposing a way of spiriting away its enormous international debt. It's going to pay off other countries in bottles of rum.
Yeah.
Officials in the Czech Finance Ministry, that's Czechoslovakia, obviously, because they used to have an accord within the communist bloc.
Well, it's not Czechoslovakia anymore, is it?
No, it's not.
It's the Czech Republic.
It's the Czech Republic, yeah. Said an offer of liquid assets from Havana was raised during negotiations on the issue. Cuba owes Prague £222 million.
Right.
That's
so
not
they're going to
dollars,
send them 220 million quid worth of rum?
Yes. And
that doesn't sound like a very good idea.
That's true. And if the Czechs accept the proposal, they will have enough Cuban rum to last the country's consumption of it for more than a century.
But they can't do that,
for the next 100 years.
Well, I mean, you can't have state-sponsored rum drinking,
Yeah,
can you?
you can, yeah.
So what, they're going to be the fence for all this rum, which they're then going to sell on to sort of retailers?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
how does that work?
Well, they're going to import it all into the Czech Republic, as you quite rightly say. It says here, Lenka Dupakova.
Who?
Lenka Dupakova.
Who's that?
The Czech Deputy Finance Minister has said that debt repayment in rum is one avenue they're exploring.
That's ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
No. He said the offer...
Where did you read this?
Sorry?
Where did you read this from?
From one of my international trade journals.
International Trade?
Yeah.
Rum Weekly?
Yeah. No, not Rum Weekly, no. He even said that the offer had gone so far as to identify which particular brands of rum the Czech government would like to receive, because there's
white rum, there's white rum, there's dark rum, there's amber rum, isn't there? That used to be my favourite, actually, because I used to make it in Bacardi in Puerto Rico.
What was that?
It's a sort of amber colour, as opposed to, it's not the very dark one.
Okay, yeah.
And it's not white, like Bacardi, but it's a sort of amber.
It says that we are prepared to take relatively unknown brands, which might be good. We would then have to launch them into the market, perhaps worldwide. And Michael Zurovesh, who is the Czech finance minister...
Oh, he's the other guy's boss?
Who was the other guy, then?
Well, the other guy was a deputy.
Oh, yeah, that's right, he was a deputy, yeah. So this guy is the boss. He says, rum's not bad, but I wouldn't mind a few pharmaceuticals as well.
He wants drugs as well?
Yeah, he wants
he's just bought a few guns while he's at it.
He says... You
sure this is not the scene of some movie that Johnny Depp's in?
No. The problem is...
There's no way this is a true story.
It is a true story.
There is absolutely no chance.
Honestly, it's in a
sovereign government in the Czech Republic is willing to accept money in rum form.
Honestly, it's in a very respectable publication. It says, however, Cuban drugs do lack EU certification for obvious reasons, Well,
they're not in the EU.
Exactly, yeah, that's right, yeah. So repayment with rum, which is a very popular drink in the Czech Republic, could make up some of the eventual settlement. Now, they're going to make up the shortfall.
Right.
They're going to send them millions of boxes of Cuban cigars.
Cuban cigars, yeah.
Yeah,
but again, you can't pay off a debt with... I mean, if somebody said to Theresa May, look, we know you owe you a load of money, but in fact, we're just going to pay you off with a few bottles of, hooch.
Yes.
There's no way that they can accept that. Because it's not their money in the first place.
Eh?
It's the taxpayers who are owed the money.
Well, the government have to run the country, and they've got to find the best way of getting their money back,
by some maniacs who just smashed out their heads on rum all day.
Yes.
Eh?
Eh? Well, it wouldn't be smashed out of the head all day. Anyway, apparently, Cuba's not the first country that's tried to pay off its debt in kind.
Really?
North Korea, which is...
What do they make?
Ginseng. They've tried to pay off their international debt with ginseng.
That's not alcoholic.
What is ginseng?
Ginseng is, it's a sort of a herb, isn't it?
It's a herb, is it?
Well, you make ginseng tea.
Apparently, they made an offer to some countries they've done trade with to pay off their debt in blocks of $10 million worth of ginseng.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't accept it.
Really?
I wouldn't.
I don't know anything about ginseng, so what can I say?
Yeah, well, there we are. Maybe we should try to get the ginseng... Maybe get a ginseng journal organised.
Absolutely.
So you can be a specialist in it. Let's go over to Naz Premju, who's watching Derby Birmingham. Naz.
11 minutes gone, Derby County 0, Birmingham City 0. Fairly tepid opening here. Derby been forced into one change. Marcus Olsen pulled up injured. Ikichi Anyu's on, so they've been forced into that early change. He'll slot straight in at full-back for them. And in terms of the other excitement, only 3, gentlemen, of the 22 players on show wearing normal black football boots. It's Derby County 0, Birmingham City 0.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll be going back to Naz as well. I see that Derby are now sponsored by Just Eat, which is an unfortunate slogan on front of a footballer's shirt, really, isn't it?
It is, really, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Darren
I don't quite understand what that is. Is that like a national chain of
It's an app.
Yeah, provisional restaurants.
Well, no,
so it's not just like takeaways and hamburger bars.
No, it's basically so you can order food, right, through your phone.
Right.
But what it gives you is a whole selection of different restaurants which Just Eat does not own. They just own the app.
Yeah, I see.
So they then go to the restaurant and purchase the food from them.
I see.
And recoup the money from you.
Very interesting.
That's how they do it.
Okay.
It would save you having to stagger up the street with all those buckets of KFC.
Yeah, it certainly would
to your house.
If I felt it necessary. You're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Paul says this, the public bar was known as the tap room up north. Paul, you should know that.
The tap room, yeah.
Hashtag plank.
And the snug.
The snug, yeah, that was a West Country thing, actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that in the first few episodes of Coronation Street, when Nina Sharples and Minnie Caldwell were the 2 stars, I'm sure they went into the snug for a milk stout.
Milk stout, yeah, very possibly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, thanks very much for that piece of information.
Well,
Coming up next, Postman Pork.
Hello, this is Tim Vine on Talk Sport. It's Mike Parry's postbag. I can't wait to see what's in there.
Postman Pork, Postman Pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
Possibly one of the worst jingles you've ever done.
Well,
People
I like
it,
to vary them. I like to get into a different key and a different set of chords, you know what I mean? Anyway, listen, as it's this time of the year, I think we're going to open a few cards.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been easy, has it, with Postman Pork, because of
them.
the occasional industrial action that's been taken
industrial action, all that
various
kind of
different
stuff.
places. But this is you opening a post that has come here, addressed to us or to you over the last week or so.
Indeed.
So what are you going to start off with?
Well, I'm going to start off with these envelopes are white. There's cards in them, obviously. So
white
I think
envelopes.
we should make it all festive because we get lots of correspondence.
Yeah.
Right, this says Merry Christmas. It says, hi, 2 mics, but I'm afraid that's spelt T-O, not T-W-O.
2 mics.
So, yes. Hi to Mikes.
Dual purpose, isn't it?
Hi to Mikes. I wish you both a happy Christmas and a happy New Year 2017. I always listen to your show. Plus, I record it and listen to it again. Which is brilliant. We like to hear this. You two are amazing. And it says, wishing you a wonderful Christmas to Mike Graham and Mike Parry from Giuseppe Lo Monaco.
Do you mean Giuseppe?
Giuseppe Lo Monaco.
Lo Monaco?
Monaco.
He's in Monaco.
Eh? No, that's his name.
Are you sure?
Giuseppe Lo Monaco.
Are you sure?
It's his signature.
All right.
Anyway, thank you very much indeed,
Very
Giuseppe.
nice. Thank you, Giuseppe.
I don't doubt your... Now, I've got a big red one
here.
It's
a Debenhams card.
Eh?
Very nice.
Debenhams, yeah, it's lovely. Right, now I've got a card here, and it's in a big red envelope.
Is it?
Excuse me, I'll just have that envelope back.
You didn't give me the envelope, you gave me the card.
Oh, the card, yeah, okay, yeah, sorry, because what I like to do is... Give the card back. I like to test the loyalty of our correspondents and listeners by seeing what sort of stamp they put on it.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm not going to open any with a second-class stamp on.
Well, that's a bit discriminatory, isn't it?
No. But anyway, that one from Giuseppe...
Giuseppe's may have come from overseas, didn't it?
No, that was first class. That's great. Now, I've got another one here. And it's a big red envelope with a big...
What sort of stamp is on this one?
White square in the middle. It's first. But I'm surprised that came with just one first-class stamp on, because it's a big one. We normally have to put 2 on for an envelope that size, I always believe, just in case. Anyway,
well, you probably just put 2 on because you think it'll get there quicker.
Yeah, well, there's that about it. Let me open this up. Okay, so we got it. Okay. Right, okay. Have a very waggy Christmas. Now, this has got a dog theme. Look, I'll show you. See?
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, it's very sparkly, isn't it?
Very sparkly. Dog looks a little bit like your dog, Ziggy.
Right.
And it's
got a rabbit in his mouth.
It hasn't got a rabbit in his mouth. It's a very expensive card.
How can you tell?
Hey?
How can you tell?
Because it looks big, but it says on the back. It says on the back, before we find out who it's from.
Yeah.
Produced in China for Tesco.
For Tesco?
Yeah.
So it's not that expensive?
Well, I think it will be, because it's a big card, this. And there's nothing wrong with Tesco.
The Tesco finest.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's gone down the gurgler a bit, hasn't it, since your mate left?
It certainly has.
Yeah. Terry Leahy.
Yes, Sir Terence Leahy, please, to his friends. Right, it says to Porky and MG and both your families and the dog who cannot be named.
Yes.
Which, of course, we have named now. No. But anyway, we won't go into that. It says, guys, have a wonderful Christmas and a fantastic New Year. Your shows for me are the best on TalkSport.
You're just going to read out like load of compliments.
Exactly. You're embarrassing us. You're embarrassing us.
You're not supposed to read that bit
with
out.
praise. But anyway, and I've made me laugh lots over the years, not to mention almost crashed my car several times.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the idea. It's not the idea of shows. Right, hope your shows, both live and on the radio, go from strength to strength in 2017. Just one thing. When are you doing a show in Belfast?
Belfast, yeah. Well, you know, we're always looking for opportunities in that part of the world, aren't we?
Have you ever been to Belfast?
I have, many times.
And it says, as you know...
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
Are they still top, by the way, in Celtic? I think they are, aren't they?
Only by about 14 points.
No.
It says, as you know, we like our drink, so you may need to stay in the Europa Hotel for 3 days to recover. Bladderation in moderation.
Yes.
And this comes from Stephen Hull.
Stephen, yes. I know him on Twitter, I think.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
And he's in Lisburn.
Yeah.
County Antrim.
Very nice.
And he doesn't mind us saying his name, which is just as well, because I've just read it out.
Yes.
OK, well, Stephen, thank you very much indeed. That's very
Don't give his address away, whatever you do.
No, don't give his address away. Don't worry about that. Right, now another one here. Now, this is Postman Porky. It's a package.
Oh, yeah.
And it says Postman Porky, but it also does say the 2 mics.
Have you had it screened?
You are... No, I haven't screened.
Is that a Par Avion sticker on the front?
What?
Is that a Par Avion sticker on the front?
This has come from Tilevropou Island.
Tilevropou Island?
Yes.
Where's that?
Don't know, but it's spelled T-I-L, and then Evropou is E-V-R-O-P-U Island. 250-gram stamp.
All right.
Par Avion.
Well, doesn't it say which country it emanates from?
Well, no.
On the stamp.
I'm going to find... Oh, here. There's a customs thing on the back.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a customs sign, and it says, this parcel is full of what? And written in...
full of what?
No, it's a questionnaire on the back, a customs questionnaire.
What does the answer say?
Chocolate.
Chocolate?
Yes. So I'm opening it now.
Okay.
I'm always a bit reluctant, really, to accept chocolate through the post, because I always
You're worried it might be poisoned, aren't you?
Well, I am. I mean, if somebody doesn't like me, they might have injected the chocolate
There's a lot of that
bar
about as well.
with a syringe full of, like arsenic or something. Anyway, so what we've got here is...
Where's it from? Is there a card?
There's a letter. Oh, it's somewhere, I think, Scandinavian, because they've sent us a bar of Cocoa Stromp licorice.
What?
That's the one. I'll show it to you.
Let's have a look.
Cocoa Stromp licorice. And the other one is the Extra Sorta Conga Extra Bar.
Oh, yeah. It says Reykjavik on the back of
it comes from Iceland.
It says Reykjavik.
Yeah, it says on the back here, Iceland, OK?
Yeah, very nice.
So this is excellent, because I like Iceland. Now, this says...
You've been there a few times, haven't you?
Been there a few times. It says...
Yeah, I don't see any holes in this.
No, well, you never know. You never know. Because it might not be the person who's sending it who's poisoned the chocolate with an arsenic
some random
injection.
person.
Well, you never know. Anyway...
Well, you might as well say you don't know what you're buying in a shop, then. Somebody might have been in the shop...
Hang on. It says chocolate on the back. It's addressed to me. How do you know somebody hasn't taken advantage of getting a syringe and injecting it through the envelope?
I don't know.
You don't know, because...
you mean somebody at a post office here could have done it?
Well, you never know. You never know. Anyway, it says here... It says, Dear Postman Pork and Old MG, greetings from a not-so-cold or wintry Reykjavik. It is very mild for this time of the year. I'm originally from Carnoustie in Scotland, but I've been residing here for the past few years. A very good choice of location, my friend.
Yes.
I've heard Porky mention Iceland and licorice many times, so I intend to send the best of both worlds and chocolate with this letter. Oh, this must be a licorice bar, then. Is that licorice bar?
Oh, no, it looks like chocolate.
No, doesn't it just show a bit of licorice in the picture?
No, it's chocolate.
No, it's licorice below the
why don't you
chocolate.
open it?
Look.
I want to open it.
I'm going to open it. We'll open it in a minute.
No,
yeah, there's the second one. Right, okay.
This one looks like licorice, doesn't it?
No, the first one.
Extra story.
Yeah. So anyway,
Tonga extra.
It says now. It says here, my fellow Scott MG. I have sent you this chocolate for you and Porky to enjoy. Okay,
there we are.
So it says some not so interesting facts about Iceland. I don't know why anybody would want to send us not so interesting facts, but it says this letter was sent from the post office on Banka Streiti, a mere 50 yards from the Hotel Borg, which I've told you about.
Have you stayed there?
Yes, Hotel Borg.
Oh, so you'll know the street then, Bank Street.
And it's like in the square, actually, in the middle of sort of Reykjavik.
Okay.
Yeah. Isn't that your hotel? Right, there are 13 Santas in Iceland who come every night in the 13 days before Christmas, okay? 13 different Santas. And do various odd things, like lick the bowls of fruit, eat...
What?
I don't know. They eat sugar and they peek through the windows.
That sounds like the recipe for disaster, that.
No, I think what you do is...
Do that in America, you get your head blown off.
No, yeah, that's absolutely right. But I think if you're a parent, I think the children
sit
sit
at the window.
there watching... Yeah, exactly. But I think in Iceland, the children are sitting there and then Mummy...
And what about this licking bowl business?
I don't know. Mummy Icelandic comes in and says, oh, look, children, there's Father Christmas at the window. Give him a wave. And in fact, it's their father, you know what I mean?
But there's 13 different ones. It must get a bit boring, doesn't it?
I don't know.
By like night 3.
It says, Porky, if you're short of work, I'll put in a word for you to be the 14th Santa, OK? Yeah. New fact, beer was only legalised in 1989. Until then, it was only spirits and cheap wine you could drink. I didn't know that. I didn't know you couldn't drink beer in Iceland in 1989. Right.
I've never actually had Icelandic beer, have you?
No, I haven't. Oh, I might have done. I don't know. There's a bloke there who's a pop star who owns a bar in Reykjavik.
Really?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Morton Hackett, is it?
Morton Hackett?
Is it? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think
well,
somebody...
you've been there.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember. Anyway, it says the Icelandic for Merry Christmas is Gladilega Jólala. And so he says Gladilega Jólala to you two guys.
Many thanks.
And thanks for everything. Warm wishes, Kevin Gillies.
Right.
And he says, any plans for a 2 mic show in Reykjavik?
Not really.
It's not a bad thought.
Well, we could.
And he says, if this is read out, I should be on a train from Glasgow to Carnoustie over Christmas. Well, I'm not sure which day that is, but anyway, look, thank you very much indeed.
That's very nice.
That is a very nice present. I better open some more.
That later. We're nearly out of time.
We're nearly out of time, yeah. This one here.
One more.
Right, okay, this one is a Christmas card. Right, it says here, 2 mics. Love the show. All the best, fellows. Richard, the Arsenal fan from Stevenage. That's as much information we've got. One here, which is addressed
tell us about the stamp on that one.
To you. The stamp on that one? Let me have a look, Stamp on that one. First. Roll first. I like this, yeah. Okay. Right. Now, I've got one here, and here we go. It's, this is very kind. It's a series of CD discs.
A series?
Yeah, for some unknown reason, somebody sent me a CD disc.
Right.
Oh, no, it's a DVD, this one.
Is it?
Because it's The Blue Lamp, the film starring George Dixon.
The Blue
in
Lamp?
1949.
Did you open this one before?
No.
Surely somebody hasn't sent... It can't be somebody else sent you a copy of The Blue Lamp.
No. I've never been sent this before.
Really?
Never. Indeed. Never.
I seem to remember a copy of The Blue Lamp crossing the desk.
No, honestly, it's not coming before. Listen, I better just open just a couple more because I want to say thank you to everybody. Who's this one from? Let's have a look here. Scrabble this open. Right. Happy Christmas, best wishes, Stuart and Carol. Thank you very much indeed.
Very nice. Where's that from?
Class? That came first class. It doesn't say.
We haven't got any more time now.
It doesn't say. Listen, just very quickly.
We're out of time.
One more.
You've seen the time.
One more.
All right, hurry up.
Here. Because I don't like people to send us cards and then not get any recognition. Just pull this one out.
Yeah.
This has got a picture of like a sort of reindeer on the front.
Yeah.
Oh, that's strange. Best wishes, Stuart and Carol.
There's a different Stuart and Carol.
No. It's the same. Gotta be.
Same too.
2 first-class stamps. Couldn't put them in the same envelope. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah.
Terrific.
That was Postman Pork.
It certainly was.
This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on this afternoon. Of course, you can also listen to the podcast from Hawksby and Jacobs on Friday of our Clips of the Year, which is rather good. And secondly, of course, you can go to the Two Mics TV, and where you can see the disgraceful behaviour by Porky Parry on the Saturday warm-up.
Your disgraceful behaviour?
When you attempted to palm off a used shirt, which I didn't want, after I'd presented you with a beautiful gift that my children had actually saved up their pocket money to buy.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, here is an edited version of what happened on Saturday.
Anyway, listen, I've pushed the boat down a bit for you.
Have you?
You've had so much trouble this year with shirts. Look what I've done.
Yeah, I must say this is very generous.
Okay,
it's very touching.
Okay,
and also it's one of my favourite shops.
Exactly.
Very expensive.
Exactly. What?
Hang on.
What's the problem?
Well, it looks creased.
Well, no, it's just the packaging.
It's creased.
It's just the packaging, mate. Just the packaging.
Are you sure?
Yeah, of course.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
There's something a bit odd here. Look at the state of the back of it.
Oh, well.
That did not come from pink.
Oh, yeah, it did.
That is not a pink shirt.
Well, it's in a pink box, isn't it? Yeah.
Hang on. Look at this.
What?
Pierre Cardin.
Oh,
it's a Pierre Cardin shirt.
Well, they do.
You complete
hang on. Hang on.
This is one of your shirts.
Don't be silly.
This is a shocker.
Here, look.
Pierre Cardin.
Look at this receipt. Look. I'm telling you, they sell all sorts of shirts at... how much is that?
All right, let me see.
£99 shirt. £99.
Well, they don't sell Pierre Cardin shirts.
They do. They sell all sorts of shirts inside
Well, it's a genuine receipt,
yes,
£99.
Right. Yeah.
Hang on, let's have a look at your shirt.
What do you mean?
Hang on.
What are you doing?
I'm going to get up now because I'm going to check I'm going to check the...
What's that got to do with it? What are you doing? Hey, leave me alone.
Look at that.
What are you doing?
Shirt. Look.
What?
Look.
What?
It's a pink shirt.
So,
you are a disgrace.
What are you suggesting?
You are an absolute disgrace.
Bloody
shirt.
How dare you?
I don't want it.
You're very ungrateful.
Look, there's your bloody receipt as well.
That's
you
very
are
nice.
Disgusting.
No.
You can have all of that.
No.
You are a pig. An absolute disgrace.
Honest to God,
Get lost. I don't even want to do the next hour with you.
I go out my way to...
Get lost. I mean, that's shocking. I mean, you have been up to some chicanery in your time during your long career as both a journalist and a drinker, as you say. But that was probably the lowest thing that ever happened to me.
But that's,
to be presented with a shirt which was not only new, and not only not new, but actually was one of your old shirts.
But you've completely misrepresented me because the point is that your version of events is way off mark.
So was it in fact a shirt that you purchased in a shop called Pink?
Yes or no? Did you see the receipt?
I saw the receipt for a shirt which you bought in pink, which apparently you were wearing on Saturday.
And it said blue and white. And what was the shirt that was in your pink bag was blue and white,
No, it was purple.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Very clear for everyone to see on the
Pink is
video.
one of the most famous names of brands of shirts in this country.
I'm wearing
I got
a pink
my way
shirt
to
today.
get you one.
I'm wearing a pink shirt today.
Well, there you go, you see.
But I bought it in
quality
pink.
Stuff.
Right?
Quality stuff.
And when I was in pink, they didn't sell any Pierre Cardin shirts in
Anyway,
there.
can I tell you
The only
this?
place you can buy those is in Sports Direct.
Can I tell you this? Over Christmas, there was a tremendous backlash against you for the callousness with which you rejected my present. I mean, when people have a look at the actual video version of it on Two Mics TV, you'll see that you were throwing the shirt across the studio.
I was throwing it. I was angry.
You were almost stamping on it.
Because my kids had saved up their pocket money to buy you a very expensive box of chocolates.
You were very.
And that was the thanks I got.
You were very abusive to me. I mean, you know, we did use profanities, or you did. You used a couple of profanities
the B word,
for the first time I think it's ever been broadcast on TalkSport Radio.
I don't think so.
You know, you completely lost control of yourself, and I'm telling you, you know, it wasn't a pretty sight.
No, well, it wasn't a pretty sight, but I may have overreacted. But to be honest, if somebody gave you something that they used to wear as a gift, I don't think you'd be too happy.
Yeah, well, you know, you've completely misrepresented me again, as you always do.
Incorrect.
But, anyway, enough of that, because, you know, we have to move on and get on with life, and, you know, I'm not sure really whether you really appreciate the things I do for you and the way I help you along.
Here's one from Laurie. He says, I'm sure someone sent you the blue lamp a few nights ago with a selection of DVDs, Porky. You've obviously thrown them in the bin.
No.
And he says, thanks for keeping me entertained on nights while I'm on the milk round.
Oh, that's okay. We love people on milk rounds.
And Rob says, Porky won't say where the fine establishment is. That's understandable, but I guarantee it'll be a Wetherspoons.
No, it's not a Wetherspoons,
Are you
honestly.
sure?
Listen, you know, in the past, getting a bit more serious, we've talked about charities and all that kind of stuff. Well, you see, I've seen another report here. I've given up donating to big international charities because you cannot believe the scale of the funds they now raise and what they pay some of their people
the administrative fees that they charge. I'll tell you what, one of the things that I think people will be genuinely impressed with and touched by is what's now coming out about George Michael and how much money he gave to charity, and that he gave tens of millions of pounds to Childline over the years and gave all the royalties from one of his songs to them. and also paid for one woman's operation as well.
£15,000 just like that. And a lot of it was anonymous. He insisted that a lot of it, if he was giving, had to be anonymous and all kind of terrific guy.
Which, of course, yours wasn't, was it? Because the reason you stopped giving money to charity was basically because you got a snotty email from somebody and they didn't answer your email.
Yeah, they wanted more money off me. When I wrote back and said, can I talk to you about this? I can do other things for you. They said, we don't take, correspondence from individual donors.
Exactly.
Anyway, there you go. Now, what I was going to say is that my charity bet over last weekend was for the score at Leicester to be Leicester 0, Everton 1.
Yes.
That almost got there. Yeah. It was very late in the game when, I'm delighted to say, Lukaku scored the second goal.
I was wondering when you were going to get around to talking about Everton.
And Everton won 2-0.
Yeah, we know that.
But nevertheless, that was very close to my charity bet. Now, what I was going to say is, look at the facts I found.
When you say very close,
yeah,
will the charity get any money?
I will make sure they do.
No, I know, but not from the bet, though.
Well, there are ways and means.
It's either right or wrong.
Well, it was nearly very accurate, wasn't it? 1-0 away from home. That's an incredible prediction.
No, it was wrong.
Considering we were playing the champions of England.
Who are currently rock bottom down near relegation territory.
3 places off, aren't they? Yeah. Anyway, listen, what I was going to say is, and this is getting serious for a moment, 1% of charities in this country, right, think about this, received 75% of all charitable income last year.
What?
1% of charities received 75% of all charitable income.
I'm sure that's
year.
Right. I'm sure that's right. Because the bigger the charity, the more out there they are, so people tend to give money to them.
That's right. Now listen to this next figure, right, which will blow your socks off. Charities in England and Wales had a combined income in 2015, the last year it was audited, right, of £72 billion.
72 billion?
72
That's a lot of money.
billion pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Maybe they should just take some of that Cuban rum.
Well, yeah. About 51.8 billion went to 2,182 of the largest charities, each of which received at least $5 million a year.
Right.
Many of the richest charities sold goods in addition to donations, legacies and grants they receive. Smaller charities have said they are being overlooked and large bodies are able to spend more on advertising, OK?
Uh-huh.
The smallest charities with an income of up to just £10,000 are the largest group, comprising 40% of organisations, but they received only 0.3% of all the income last year.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Because that's what happens. Unfortunately, people don't quite get it.
Yeah.
Now, somebody who might be in need of a little bit of a charitable pat on the back or a friendly arm around the shoulder is our old friend, Who Are You? Mr. Ian Holloway. QPR lost for the 6th time under his tutelage, a row, by the way, to Brighton 3-0. Here's what he has to say about his future.
People think I'm going to get sacked in the morning. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I hope you enjoy your Christmas. And your new year, why don't you just sing something better and something different, I've always been very respectful here. I didn't mean to beat you in the playoffs. Wasn't my fault, was it? So why don't you just show a bit of respect? But that's life these days, that's football these days, and it's all supposed to be instant, isn't it? It's about getting better. And because football is turned into this instant coffee, which is a load of baloney, I'm going to keep going because I know what I'm doing. I've done it before, and hopefully I'll be given that trust to build a club and build a team and build a spirit.
Who are you?
Who are you? No, I love the old...
What's he going on about?
Sacked in the morning.
Yeah.
Don't remember the song?
Yeah. Well, that's what he's been hearing.
Sacked in the morning.
Yeah, well why don't you sing a different song?
Yeah, apparently...
He says he knows what he's doing. He's lost 6 in a row.
That's right, I know what I'm doing.
I mean, if he knows what he's doing, what is it that he knows how to do?
I don't know.
And why is he mixing up coffee and baloney?
I don't know. I know.
It's all about instant coffee. It's a load of baloney.
People
talking about.
People think I'm going to get sacked in the morning. Well, I'm telling you, that's nice for Christmas, isn't it? Thank you very much.
I mean, as if we're supposed to feel sorry for football managers, right? Who get sacked all the time and get given bucket loads of money. How much did Alan Pardew get for walking the plank the other day?
A reported 3 million.
3 million.
But I don't know. I mean, that's a fact you can't check.
You'd have to say that if you... I mean, the most important thing to do as a football manager, and you'll know this even from your days in newspapers, the most important thing is to have a pretty good contract so that when they fire you, because they will, they always will, then you get a load of money.
That's right, But, I mean, I can recognise with...
Who are you?
Poor old Who Are You? Because, of course, I got that treatment at Spurs, if you remember.
You did. Well, amazingly, you weren't sacked in the morning. This is after you took your shirt off and swung your leg over the hospitality area.
I was having a bit of banter with the Spurs fans and pointing out to them that, they were calling me, Who ate all the pies? Oh, no, sorry. That's
Why were they
way.
singing in a Cornish accent?
Right, yeah, they were. Yeah.
From North London.
Yeah. Who ate all the pies? Who ate all the pies? And I merely opened a few buttons of my shirt to demonstrate that
in fact, it was you that had eaten all the pies.
No, my supple, what do they call a waist like that? Six-pack. My subtle six-pack waist
was
in fact intact.
Barrel waist,
no,
I think.
No.
Neil says this, MG deserves praise for not battering Porky more than he did for the disgraceful second Christmas present, not even ironed by Mrs. Mop.
Threw it back in my face.
I couldn't say fairer
Threw it back
than that.
in my face.
Who are you? This is Talk Sport.
Who are you? The day you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. So before we go, do it all again.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. We're in all week for Hawksby and Jacobs. There's loads going on. Derby Birmingham is almost reaching half-time. We'll go over there in a moment. First, though, the Welsh Darts Championship is going on as well at Ali Pali. Let's go to Dan Dawson and find out what's happening. Dan.
Yes, three-time major winner Robert Thornton has turned this one around. He made a terrible start against Northern Ireland's Darrell Gurney, who orchestrated the crowd for his walk-on to Sweet Caroline. It was all Gurney at the start. Won the first 6 legs, so he went 2-0 up in sets with 105 average. But the Thorn has kicked into gear. He's levelled it at 2 sets apiece. He leads 2-1 in this 5th set. Big couple of legs coming up here. First one to 4 sets goes through to the last 16 of the William Earl World Championship as Gurney fires in another 180. His level hasn't dropped that much. It's just Thorns has risen to match him. We've got huge names on the way this evening. Raymond van Barneveld, Phil the Power Taylor, and the odds-on favourite for the title, Michael van Gerwen. But the afternoon session will be rounded off by the big scoring Dave Chisnell against the up-and-coming Chris Dobie. But right now, 2 apiece in sets, 2-1 to Thornton in the 5th set.
Thanks very much indeed, Dan. Let's go up to Naz Premji, who's watching Derby Birmingham. It's just gone for half-time. Naz.
Yeah, it's half-time here, gents. Derby County 0, Birmingham City 0. A fairly uninspiring first 45 minutes. Chances at a premium. Derby saw a Darren Bent header go wide after great work from Russell. Russell himself sent clear by Hughes. Thomas Kuszak got down quickly to save. At the other end, Jack Magoma sent a lovely ball through to Lucas Jutkiewicz. He had a little bit more time. Should have done better with his shot, which was wide of the left-hand upright. It's not been great so far at the break. It's Derby County 0, Birmingham City 0.
Thanks very much indeed, Naz. And of course, coming up later on this afternoon, it's Liverpool against Stoke.
Indeed,
your nemesis,
certainly is.
taking on Mark Hughes. Let's find out from Beaky what to expect. Beaky, very good afternoon to you.
Very good afternoon, the two Mikes. Nice to speak to you.
Yes.
It's a good day here. There's no wind. I was at Burnley yesterday where it was wild and windy.
Right.
No wind here. Perfect for football. Looking forward to a good game. Because Stoke now are a lot more... Stoke now are a lot...
For heaven's sake, you haven't been at the old Christmas brandy, have you been?
Yeah, lay off those mince pies.
Now, listen, I want to know something very important before we get into the football.
Okay,
Did you travel to the game on the famous Mersey Underground?
No, I didn't, but I could have done. Mersey Rail, absolutely. It's a fantastic service, actually, because you can go from Liverpool city centre, you can go across the Wirral on the Wirral line, you can go to New Brighton or West Kirby on the River Dee side of Wirral, or down to Chester, or indeed to Ellesmere Port if you wish to do so, or you can go up to Southport in the other direction, Ormskirk. So it's a really good service.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like a tube service to me. It sounds like a train service.
Well, the last bit is because it has to go under the River Mersey, doesn't it?
Exactly. It goes under. If you're going over to Wirral, it's got to go under the River Mersey. So
has it got electric doors?
And under the Liverpool city centre.
Has it got electric doors?
Yeah, and it hasn't got a man walking in front with a red
flag. What sort of doors
either.
do you think it's got? You oaf.
Well, no, because if you've got electric doors, then you've got more chance of it being a tube train as opposed to doors that open manually.
No, doors don't open manually, you idiot.
What do you mean they don't open manually?
Well, you ever see a door open manually on any sort of train that goes underground?
Every
underground.
British rail train used to have doors that open manually.
Well, that was 30 years ago. Liverpool's a very modern city.
Yes, I realise that.
Let's get on with the football, for goodness sake, before you embarrass yourself.
Yeah. Porky, of course, and you yourself, Beaky, will be celebrating Everton finally getting a win at the weekend.
Well, after 4 away defeats in the league, it was good to get a win. So that's a big boost, no question about it, coming into this holiday period. And it'll be a big fill-up, and we shall see what happens in the transfer window, because the strong rumour is on Merseyside, of course, that Schneiderlin is going to move from Manchester United to Everton.
Is that right?
And he might pick up
an option,
he might pick up a couple of players as well. So we'll perhaps see a little bit more of the team building that Ronald Koeman has to do to improve Everton as they are at the moment.
And what about this new kid from Charlton that they've just signed?
This is the young lad. Do you know what? I've seen him once and once only. And I repeat, once and once only. and I wasn't that impressed with him, I have to tell you. I thought he was all right, but my worry is with a kid coming to a club like Everton like that, and all of a sudden finding he's picking up a big wage packet, my big worry is under these circumstances that's it. You know, he's got a nice wage packet, he's got a nice contract, his agent's seen him right. Will he have the desire to carry on and do well?
Well, in Mr. Koeman, we have to believe. Now, back tonight, Beaky. I mean, Liverpool shouldn't have much of a problem, should they?
Well, yeah, I think they will have a problem. Stoke are never easy meet, no question about it, albeit that, you know, they haven't done very well in the last few matches. They haven't won in the last 3, but nonetheless, you know, aside from that, they have improved. They're a much more attractive side, as I was trying to tell you before, than they have been in the past. So I think it's going to be difficult because they're always attritional, and Walters, if he plays up front, will make sure that the Liverpool defenders know he's there, as they say. So it's going to be a tough game. But I think Liverpool have got too much. Their movement is excellent. They're unbeaten here at Anfield, despite the fact Coutinho isn't fit and isn't playing. I don't think that's been a particular problem for them, although he does have an effect, no doubt. Arnautovic missing on the other side because he's suspended, I think will be a bigger loss to Stoke than Coutinho's absence for Liverpool.
Any needle for Joe Allen going back?
No, I don't think so. No, Joe did okay here. You know, he's a wholehearted player. He puts his heart into everything that he did. It's just that I think that Jurgen Klopp felt that he was a little bit lightweight physically. He likes a bigger player than Brendan Rodgers used to like. Brendan Rodgers used to go for the little nippy players, but there's an old saying in football, as in everything else, I think, in sport, a good big one's better than a good little, and Jurgen Klopp goes for that philosophy.
He does, indeed. So that's all underway at 5:15. Beaky, thank you very much indeed. As ever, enjoy the day. It sounds like it's perfect weather for football, as he was just saying.
Sounds like
no wind. You'll be watching that later, or perhaps you'll be missing it due to your... What time is your non-birthday lunch?
When I arrive.
But, I mean, is it late lunch or early dinner? What is it?
No, it's early dinner.
There'll be a few drinks beforehand.
Oh, yeah, a few drinks beforehand, a few canapes, you know, and...
just all going on at the appointed place, or are you going somewhere else first?
No,
My kids, by the
way,
room
right, sorted,
have come up to London.
Table and all that,
you know what, I was telling you they were witness to some kind of punch-up.
That's right,
on the train, right?
which they found quite exciting.
Yeah, well, guess what else has happened?
I don't like to see violence in the streets.
No, I don't. Guess what else has happened? They've been to Trafalgar Square, to the tree and all that. Apparently someone's been stabbed there.
What?
It's like some kind of, crime tour of London.
I mean, your children aren't the devil children, are they? Everywhere they go, crime breaks out all over the place.
Some guy's been stabbed in Trafalgar Square, apparently.
It's really shocking, no? Shocking. You know, the way the world is
deteriorating. Now, a couple of people have been making fun of your suggestion that Morgan Harkett was a bar owner in Iceland.
Oh, yeah.
I doubt it, says Steve. He's a singer in Aha.
Yeah, that's right.
Aha were from somewhere else, weren't they?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Do you know, I don't think it was Morton Hackett. It was some guy...
Morgan Hackett.
Do you know what? I think he might have been in the Verve or something, the bloke who owns the bar. Some pop star. Yeah,
pop. Oh, you mean the guy from Manchester, Richard Ashcroft? He's got a bar there?
No, it's not him. It's one of the other...
have a bar there?
Listen, I'm telling you, there's
Morgan Harkett, that's him.
Yeah, it could be him.
Thinking of?
Could be him. He's from Iceland, isn't he?
No.
I thought he
was.
From
Norway.
Norway? Well, same sort of place.
It's not the same sort of place.
It's the same
a completely different place.
What I'm saying is, there is a chap who... is there a group called Aha?
Yes, that's what he was in.
Oh, he was in that, was he?
I just told you that.
No, I didn't realise that. No, what I'm saying is there is a guy who's a member of a band that's been pretty successful in sort of the 90s, I think, right? And he definitely has a bar in Iceland, because I've been in there. And I've seen the pictures of him on the wall and all that kind of stuff.
Of mistaken identity, clearly.
It could be. There's a lot of pop stars around.
It could be Morgan somebody else.
Eh?
It could be Morgan somebody else. Remember Morgan Fairchild?
No, but his name's not Morgan, it's Morton, isn't it?
Morton?
Yeah, M-O-R-T-E-N, Morton Hackett, isn't it?
I don't know anyone called Morton.
No, that guy you've just talked to me about, who's that?
Morton Hackett.
No, that's what I just said. Well, why are you talking about Morgan for?
Somebody said his name was Morgan.
I didn't say his name was Morgan.
Oh,
okay. And I wish I could remember which group it is, but I think it was the same guy who came up to me at Wembley one time, and I thought that...
Could have been the guy from Blur.
Blur. Could have been the guy from Blur. What's his name?
Or were you just blurred while you were in there?
No, what was his name?
Well, there's lots of people in Blur.
Yeah.
There's the guy who's now the chef.
There was a guy who came up to me at Wembley and said hello, and all these girls started...
Was he in Blur?
He might have been, but I can't remember.
Or the Verve?
I'm not sure. But all the girls around me started screaming, and I thought...
What girls?
Well, there were a load of girls.
Why?
Well, I don't know, because...
Don't you always go to the FA Club there?
Well, this was old Wembley. This is what I'm saying. I think it was a group from the 90s.
Oh, I see.
This was... it was a cup final at Wembley in the late 90s.
And who was he supporting, the guy?
Chelsea.
Really?
Yes.
It must have been Damon Albarn then.
It was Damon Albarn. That was him.
Has he got a bar in Iceland?
I think he has.
But he's not from Iceland?
No, he's not from Iceland, but I think he has got a bar.
Or Norway?
No, he's not. No, but I think he has got a bar in Iceland. Yeah, seriously. And what happened was he came and started. He just said hello. Actually, he's a football fan, supports Chelsea and all that. And I said, hello, very nice to meet you, not council. And then all these girls walked in and they all started, got delirious because Damon Albarn was there. Yeah. Of course, I thought it was me they were getting delirious over.
I don't know why you would have thought that.
Well, because they
Have
were...
you been in touch with him since?
No. Oh, no, I've never spoken to him since. No. No,
we should get him on the show, shouldn't we?
We could do, definitely. But, I mean, I wouldn't say...
Why did he open a bar in Iceland?
I think he just wanted to. It was pre the sort of collapse of the Icelandic economy.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people were seeing Iceland as a great new world of investment and all that kind of stuff, with all these...
Have you ever bought any property there?
No, but I had thought about it. I went to see property there.
Is that why? That's why you went, isn't it? You didn't go on holiday at all.
Well, no, I know. I had a look at stuff while I was there, but remember...
Yeah, that's why you went.
Remember, at that time...
Because I always wondered, why on earth would you go on holiday to Iceland?
It's around about the same time that the Icelandic businessman bought West Ham.
Yes.
So there was a lot of interest in Iceland. I think that's why he ended up there. But that was definitely him. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
David says Damon Albarn did own a bar in Reykjavik.
Thank you. There, you see.
Russ says, MG, I have a suggestion for you. Your Christmas present to Porky next year could be an empty Watley's Party 7. Revenge.
Yeah.
I don't think they still sell those, do they?
Yeah, I think they do, actually. Believe it or not, I think I saw a huge can of beer somewhere while I was,
It's probably in your flat.
It could have been, yeah. Well, I was, probably haven't opened it for about 20 years or something. Which I'm sure I saw in my travels as I was getting in all my Christmas presents. Yeah. I did very well this year with Christmas presents. I organised everything brilliantly. Yeah, well, don't worry about the time.
Tomorrow we'll talk some more about that because we're out of time now.
Sure.
It's going to be time for Drive
with
Mr. Ian Danter and Mickey Quinn. This is Talk